Many thanks for joining us on News on the Hour on Plus TV Africa. Here are the stories making the headlines. I am Osaogie Ogbonwa. President Muhammadu Buhari has expressed a fear that with the movement of activities to cyberspace as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, terrorist groups might begin to radicalize citizens online. He said the government would therefore continue to monitor activities of terrorists online to control radicalization of citizens by terrorist groups and other violent cells. According to a statement by his special advisor on media and publicity, Femi Adesina, the president made his position known in his remarks at the Aqaba process virtual meeting in the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan. Adesina quoted the president as saying that the migration to cyberspace posed greater risk for radicalization, especially with the growing constraints on physical contact and movements. The Defense Headquarters says the troops of Operation Accord on Wednesday killed 4 suspected bandits in an encounter at the Jeka Darabi area of Kaduna State along the Kaduna-Abuja Expressway. The Coordinator Defense Media Operations, Major General John Enencha, disclosed this in a statement on Thursday in Abuja. He said the troops mobilized to the area and laid ambush following credible intelligence on the movement of bandits from Kachia area. According to him, the troops made contact with the bandits and killed 4, while others escaped with gunshot wounds. And the Maiduguri Zonal Office of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission said it had rearranged the Chief Executive Officer of Complete Care and Aid Foundation, Aisha Al-Khali Wakil, popularly known as Mama Boko Haram. Mama Boko Haram was said to have been rearranged on Tuesday before Justice Aisha Kumalia of the Borno State High Court in Maiduguri on amended 4 counts bordering on conspiracy, giving false information and cheating to the tune of 6 million naira. At the sitting prosecution counsel, Mukhtar Ali Ahmad informed the court of a pending amended charge and urged the court to strike out the earlier charges filed on March 3rd and 10th, 2020 and substitute it with that of March 18, 2020. A statement on Wednesday by the head media and publicity of the EFCC, Dele Oyewale, indicated that Justice Kumalia substituted the charges and ordered them to be read to the defendants. They pleaded not guilty, following which counsel for the second and third defendants, H. Waziri, prayed the court for an adjournment to enable him study the new charges with a view to applying for a plea bargain agreement with the EFCC. Consequently, Justice Kumalia adjourned the matter till September 16, 2020 for commencement of trial. Mama Boko Haram was originally arraigned alongside the program manager of her foundation, Tahiru Daura, and the country director, Lawal Shoyode, on December 4, 2019. Their trial followed their no guilty plea to the charges. And the Oba of Benin, Obayeware II, has asked the leaders of the People's Democratic Party and the All Progressive Congress to emulate ex-President Goodluck Jonathan, who congratulated President Muhammadu Buhari after losing the 2015 polls. The monarch gave the charge on Wednesday during a meeting he had with the leading candidates ahead of the September 19th governorship election in the state.
In less than 3 weeks from now, the people of Edo State will be going to poll to elect their governor for the next 4 years. One disturbing trend is the high scale of violence that has characterized the build-up to the election. Speaking during the meeting, the revered traditional ruler expressed his displeasure over the attitude of some politicians, saying he is unhappy that the state has been in the news for the wrong reasons and that the election should not be a do-or-die affair.
We hold him responsible too. If it doesn't use his statesmanship status, elder statesmanship status to bring peace and eradicate, stop this violence, stop shooting. You can campaign quietly. Please. You can see how much energy we have used to appeal. And it's worth it. Because we want to surprise everybody else that is thinking that those states is going to burn down. Why should those states burn down? Those states should be quiet.
PDP candidate and incumbent governor Godwin Obaseki, APC flag bearer Osage Ize-Iyamu, ex-APC national chairman and former governor of the state Adams Oshomole, Chief John Odigi Oyegu, among others, were in attendance.
Sworn to an oath to preserve the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I have sworn to protect lives and property of the people I govern.
I want to assure our Father and all those present that we on our part pledge to ensure from our supporters, our followers, that they conduct themselves peacefully throughout the campaign and during the election.
And my record speaks for me. I didn't need any human being to win the election twice. So I'm a CPC person. If I didn't promote violence for myself, I cannot possibly promote violence for another person.
An ADC gubernatorial candidate and some other Edo indigents lauded the initiative of the Oba.
Election is not a do or die affair. The way it is supposed to be done, as I keep saying all the time, the minute you decide to be a politician, you are the servant of the people. And ADC recognizes that. I do recognize that.
His Royal Majesty have done well enough to advise all the candidates in this election. And I can tell you that today, that history has been made in Edo State, and that history will continue.
The purpose of being here today is to actually seek for peace from the Oba. And the Oba has assured us and prayed for us and make sure that this election coming September 19 is going to be peaceful.
As governorship election in Edo State is forthcoming, analysts say the electorate must be allowed to cast their votes peacefully and not under threat of violence. Hence, the fate of any of these political parties winning is dependent on the choice of Edo indigents.
Nobel laureate Professor Wole Soyinka says the proposed water resources bill is laced with ulterior motives to reintroduce Ruga initiative, which was rejected in the past. Professor Soyinka, who spoke on Plus Politics Live on Wednesday night, says just like many Nigerians, he is ready to engage the sponsors of the bill. He insists it is sectarian, divisive, and will lead to doom in the country. He urged Nigerians to resist the law.
I mean, when you decide to take control of people's water resources, you literally telling them that their the primary source for existence is in control centrally of a place which has no notion and no immediate association with the environment over which it's legislating. Now that's a very, very provocative kind of action. That's why I say if this bill is passed, this nation is doomed. Well, there's no other way in which I can describe it. When you take over the water resources of any society, of any country, any space, whatever, and you demarcate a certain distance from that water source, right, left, north, south, etc., it means you can do whatever you want on that landed estate, that real estate. We won't even begin talking about the fish in the water and all other habitats of the water. Let's look at the land alone. It means you can push a project like Ruga there, and nobody can complain because you've already taken that space over. And I find that outrageous.
He also reacted to the signed amendment of the new Companies and Allied Matters Act, CAMA 2020.
The government cannot say religious bodies should be subject to secular laws. No, that's wrong. Otherwise, you have a right, the religious bodies have a right to say, yes, we're just another arm of governance, therefore we have the right to set up theocracies. So we must reject this kind of mutual intervention. Now, there are laws, and those laws are constantly being applied. Pick up the papers one day, and we find there is a rapist, Christian or Muslim, a pedophile, rapist or Muslim or Christian, etc., etc. And there are laws which take care of individuals. We have robbery, we have malfeasance, we have misappropriation of funds, and the laws exist to take care of those. And then all the time people are talking Christianity, Islam. Are those the only religions in this nation? There is the religion of the Orisha. which preceded Christianity and Islam. So what about them? Well, what's all this concentration on these foreign religions anyway? So everything is cockeyed. We've got to come together and really make up our minds what kind of a society we are. Are we a secular society? Or, as some people like to, like to be pedantic and say, we're not secular, we're multi-religious. All right, let's say you're multi-religious. Multi-religious country, that means that those religions cannot speak to governance, vice versa, unless those religions flout the legal protocols of association, bind us together. The government should please take their noses out of the businesses of those religious voters.
The Nigeria Center for Disease Control, NCDC, has announced 4 deaths and 216 fresh cases of COVID-19, taking the total infections in the country to 54,463. The NCDC made this known on its official Twitter handle on Wednesday. It announced that the new infections were recorded in 15 states and the Federal Capital Territory. The NCDC stated that of the 216 new cases, Plateau State had the highest number with 59, followed by Rivers, Abia and Lagos, which had 27, 22 and 20 respectively. Others were Oyo with 18, Enugu with 17, Kaduna FCT with 11 cases each, Ogun State with 10, Ebonyi 4, Osun State 4, and of course Ekiti 4 cases also. Delta State and Edo with 3 cases each, Akwa Ibom 2 and Bauchi with 1 case. The health agency said that this brought the total number of infections in the country since its first index in February 2020 to 54,463. And the Ogun State government says that 4 of the 6 COVID-19 isolation centers have been shut down. This is as government says that 118 COVID-19 patients are currently receiving treatment in their various homes. The state government also announced that 17 other patients are on admission in the isolation centers at the Olabisi Onabanjo University Teaching Hospital, Shagamu, and the Federal Medical Center, FMC, Idiaba in Abeokuta. And also in the news, the Comptroller General Nigerian Immigration Service, NIS, Mohammed Babandede, has implemented procedures for international flight resumption and visa payment. The Comptroller said this during a virtual meeting with stakeholders to address travel concerns and automation of travel work permit on Wednesday in Abuja. He said that the procedures were in line with the federal government's approval to commence international flight operations from September 5. The Murtala Mohammed International Airport, Lagos, and the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, were earlier approved by the Minister of Interior, Ralph Aribishola, for the implementation. Issues concerning entry of migrants affected by the suspension of international flights and closure of land borders were also addressed. Nigerian youth have been tasked to contribute their quota towards national development and support the federal government in its quest to transform the nation. This was during the launch of a book in Abuja titled Nigerian Youths and the Next Level. The book, which highlights steps for youths nationwide to key into the federal government development plan, also urges youths, irrespective of ethnicity and religion, to be ambassadors of Nigeria, especially using social media as a veritable tool.
The most safest place in the country. So we should change that narrative. We should stop sending wrong impression to other citizens, other countries, that Nigerians are not safe, Nigerians are not competent, Nigeria does not have access to resources and all of that. We should begin to build Nigeria for our dream. We should begin to build our mindset towards the change, towards the next level agenda of President Muhammad Buhari.
Also, several civil society organizations have expressed concern over the alleged plans by the Senate to ignore public outcry over the attempt to pass the controversial social media bill. The coalition, while addressing newsmen in Abuja, urged the Senate to make a U-turn and reject the bill because of its unpopularity. Some members of the coalition also called on the Senate to listen to the voice of reason and place themselves on the side of the public.
It is alleged that the Senate have already concluded plans to pass the social media bill, that they are going to hide behind COVID-19 issue and other national issues and pass the bill without delay. Passing the social media bill in such an underhanded manner would not only mean that the Senate is unwilling to listen to Nigerians, but also that it is willing to be an intransigent enabler of tyranny.
We are not comfortable with this bill as it tends, as it stands to stifle our rights. We had expected that the Ninth Senate will come to a conclusion that there was no need to pass this bill into law. Why do we still have this bill on ground?
During the public hearing, 99% of the organizations that spoke rejected this bill.
Absolutely.
Including government agencies.
Right.
We've heard rumors that this social media bill is an executive bill. So that means that lawmakers don't actually have a choice but just to agree with it. But they should also remember that it is Nigerians, all of us, that have voted and put them there. They are not there to please the presidency.
No matter what I do, no matter what I say, no matter how good I am never good enough. And when I open my mouth to complain and say, look, this is injustice, or there's injustice somewhere being meted out to me or to someone of my kind, they say it is hate speech. So they gag me, they arrest me, they torture me, and in some instances people disappear just because they air their views about what is happening in Nigeria.
The National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, NAPTIP, has signed a Memorandum of Understanding with the International Human Rights Commission, IHRC, to aid the fight against human trafficking. The Director General of NAPTIP, Julie Okadonli, during the signing ceremony at NAPTIP's headquarters in Abuja, says the MOU would help protect victims of human trafficking and galvanize international support. Okadonli says there is need for a global partnership, especially in the area of information sharing, to stop traffickers and help in their prosecution.
We are here for a fulfillment of the promise of the DG to partner with us to be able to achieve a targeted goal of stopping another second slavery in Nigeria. This is why we are here, to put an MOU to law today, to be able to fully collaborate to bring about success in the fight against this deadly, manipulated attempt by enemies of the state to bring Nigeria back to slavery.
Over the years, we've partnered with so many countries, but the truth is that a lot of countries are still in denial. They refuse to believe that the crime of human trafficking is a global phenomenon. They seem to think it is a Nigerian problem. It is not a Nigerian problem. It is a global problem. And if we continue to be in denial, we are not going to get anywhere. So we need to work closely with all the countries. Of course, through your organization, work closely with other countries so that they begin to understand the importance of sharing information with us in Nigeria. Having joint investigations, having joint operations, prosecuting cartels, breaking the major cartels at the destination countries and the countries of origin, which is Nigeria.
And now in stories across Africa, panic is in the air as Tunisia's southeastern province of Gabes as coronavirus cases in one of its agricultural towns, El Hama, is on the rise. Gabes province, and especially the town of El Hama, some 500 kilometers south of the capital Tunis, has become one of the country's virus epicenters. Tunisia had managed to contain its outbreak by moving early and imposing strict measures in March, but cases have been on the rise since it reopened its borders on June 27th. According to the Health Ministry, in August, more than 800 of the country's almost 4,000 coronavirus cases and 11 of its 80 deaths have been recorded in the Gabes region. Mostly from El Hama, most of the cases have been asymptomatic, but residents of the agricultural town of some 100,000 people fear they will be unable to assess treatment if needed. And on the foreign scene, Japan's Defense Minister Taro Kono on Thursday, September 3rd, said he supports Chief Cabinet Secretary Yoshihide Suga as the country's next leader to provide continuity in tackling the coronavirus crisis, but also predicted he would one day be Prime Minister. Identified early by local media as a potential candidate, the Defense Minister had considered entering the leadership race to replace retired Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, but decided against it after Suga announced his decision to run. Suga on Wednesday announced that he would run in the ruling Liberal Democratic Party LDP election to pick a new leader, promising to stick to Abe's policies. With backing of several party factions, including the one that Kono is a member of, Abe's longtime ally has emerged as the front runner in the race. Abe announced on Friday he was resigning because of poor health, ending his tenure as Japan's longest-serving prime minister.
Well, one day I will be the prime minister. It is important to contain COVID-19 at the same time that we need to restart the economy. So he has been dealing with COVID-19. So I think the next government has to tackle this delicate issue of balancing economy as well as containing COVID-19. We need to secure our social security. How are we going to provide social security, the pension, medical, child care? I think that's going to be very important, and that need to be thoroughly discussed.
And the Niger State government in north-central Nigeria has appealed for the need to consider the state's large landmass in the revenue sharing formula for the country. Niger State has a total of 76,363 kilometers, 10% out of the 923,768 kilometer total landmass of the entire country. If the appeal is considered according to the State Commissioner for Finance, Zakaria Abubakar, it will go a long way in assisting the state government to assess and tackle the environmental challenges as opposed to the revenue that accrue to it. Zakaria Abubakar mentioned this during a deliberation with officials of the Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission led by Patrick Mbegbu Nworu in Minna, the state capital. The commissioner said the land mass of the state is the largest in the country, with its topography causing serious environmental challenges such as annual flooding, which the Ecological Fund allocated to the state could not sufficiently cover. The commission also pointed out that the number of federal roads crisscrossing the state is another issue that should be considered in the revenue sharing formula by the federal government. And the Nigerian government has said that infrastructure development is a boost to the growth of the country's tourism sector. The country's Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed disclosed this on Wednesday in Abuja during the Second African Ministerial Roundtable on the recovery of travel and tourism organized by the Africa Tourism Board. During the virtual meeting, the minister revealed that issues of investment in infrastructure development, visa liberalization, as well as strategic interventions by the government during the COVID-19 pandemic period are key to the stimulation of domestic tourism going forward. The minister said Nigeria is blessed with human and natural resources to drive the sector. He, however, stated that security is also paramount in growing the tourism sector. Hence, the government is doing everything possible to secure the country, put infrastructures in place so that the sector can achieve its maximum potentials. And still ahead is our roundup on entertainment and sports news. We'll be back in a moment.
Plus TV Africa is a news television station that prides itself in presenting to our audience the unbundling of big stories that impact the lives of Africans at home within the continent and those in diaspora.
I'm on the field and ready for you.
Okay. Vibration and a sudden explosion.
You have to think big, but you have to start small.
I want to encourage you to wear a mask wherever you go.
We use some of the best technology to create the kind of content that millennials love to watch. We unbundle the kind of stories that impact their lives and they are happy to learn from. This is where big stories live.
3, 2, 1,
Thank you for joining us in Plus TV Africa News.
Welcome to Ladies Talking Business on Plus TV Africa. I am your host, Anita Felix, and with me is my co-host, Moremi Akano.
On today's episode, we will be talking about Forex trading.
We have nations of the world, they trade Forex. We have CBNs of nations, they trade Forex. The super rich and their children.
How much can I start with?
When it comes to Forex, you can start wherever you are, whatever your capacity is. Some brokers will even take as little as $5 from you. You can take that to the bank. It teaches you the act of money multiplication. The more money you use to trade, the more money you make. Then the second thing again is your risk management parameters. We call it lot sizes. I don't really like talking about making a lot of money in Forex, especially when I'm talking to somebody that hasn't done this before. A lot of people have a misconception when it comes to Forex. They see it as something that they enter today and tomorrow they begin to make $1,000. It does not work that way.
Welcome back. And now in entertainment, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson has become the latest celebrity who has fallen victim to coronavirus. On Wednesday, September 2nd, the wrestler turned actor revealed that he and his entire nuclear family, including his wife, Lauren, and their two daughters, Jasmine, 4, and Tiana, 2, tested positive for COVID-19. The Rampage star disclosed his family's positive diagnosis in an 11-minute video posted on his social media page. Johnson believed he and his family contracted the novel virus from close family friends who are devastated that they unwittingly spread the virus. He further stated that they are no longer contagious. He further also advised everyone around the world to stay disciplined, boost their immune system, commit to wellness, wear your mask, protect your family, be strict about having people over at your house or gatherings, stay positive, and care for your fellow human beings. And that's it on entertainment. The very best in sports coming up next.
And in sports, Aston Villa have completed the signing of Marty Cash, a right back from Nottingham Forest, for about £16 million on a 5-year contract. The 23-year-old came through the Championship side's academy and made 141 appearances for the club. Cash boosts Villa's defensive options after only relegated Norwich City conceded more Premier League goals than Dean Smith's side last season. Villa, who avoided relegation on the final day of last season, host Sheffield United on the 20th of September in their opening league game of the 2020-2021 campaign. And still in sports, Christian Malcolm, a former sprinter who won medals at the World and European Championships, has been appointed as head coach of Britain's Olympic track program. Malcolm will take up his new role at British Athletics after spending 20 months as the head of performance and coaching of Athletics Australia. The 41-year-old who took part in 4 Olympics becomes the first black head coach on British Athletics Olympic program. Malcolm previously worked as British Athletics technical lead for sprint relays. And that's it on Sports Update on Plus TV Africa. I'm Udoka Njoko.
Thanks very much, Udoka. And that's our news roundup of events at this hour. For more news updates, please follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Plus TV Africa. And do subscribe to our YouTube channel at Plus TV Africa. We'll be back later with more stories making the headlines. Do join us. I am Osaogi Ogbonwa.
This is it for upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Buki November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
A lot of the jobs that exist today will not exist in the next 10 years.
10 years.
When I see people today shouting, we're not too young to run, we are ready to run. Ready to run to where?
The people of excellence are, to a certain extent, being held ransom by idiots and bandits.
Once you are in government, you believe everything you do is right. And once you are in opposition, everything the government does is wrong.
So it's time for us to take over power.
This is Tea Time on Plus TV Africa. Thank you for watching, and of course we're ready to analyze the biggest entertainment stories. My name is Elsie Godwin, and I have just Ife Oluwa-Oshoke with me today.
What's good?
How you doing?
Right. Ife, what's up?
Ife. Okay, let me just move on because I know you will have.
Myself.
Oh, to yourself. Yeah. I thought it was the Ife of mine because I don't understand the bond you have, but it's okay. Okay, moving on. Academy Awards recently opened entries to the best films released globally, and the Nigerian Oscar Selection Committee, NOSC, has announced a call for feature film entries by Nollywood filmmakers into the 93rd Academy Awards. The committee's chairperson, Chineze Anyene, said, and I quote, "We were able to make our first ever entry submission to the Oscar for the International Feature Film Awards category as a country." Of course, that was last year. And the awareness this has brought to the industry as a whole has been amazing. It has opened the industry to other markets, and we hope to see partnerships with other industries soon. End of quote. The event is slated to hold on the 25th of April, 2021. Yeah.
I like this. I like the inclusion of Africans and the African industry into the international space. That is, it's not just, I'm not even speaking for just Nigeria right now. I'm speaking about Africa as a continent as a whole, that people are beginning to see the amount of work and talents that we have in this part of the world, and they're beginning to appreciate us. So, you know, in almost every award, there is a category for us to be featured one way or the other, and I think that is progress, regardless of some people may not be content. But I can remember when we had Joey Aken on this table, and then we're talking about the Grammys, and then people saying that they want Afrobeat awards specially, blah blah blah. And it was like, this is an American, they don't owe you anything. The fact that they're putting you there is because they see an effort in what you're doing. So I think this is just one of those times when we just have to be grateful that, yes, we're beginning to get it. And then, I don't know what's holding people back from sending out their entries already, because I don't even think they needed to make this call, like start sending entries.
Of course, they need to make the call. If not, you won't be able to send any entry anywhere. Who is going to receive it? But for me, I mean,
I just feel like people are not following, actually.
Of course, people are following, those who are interested. But this takes me back to when the Genevieve Nnaji conversation started regarding her movies that was put in for what's it called, the Oscars now, and she didn't get it, and a lot of conversation started regarding King of Boys, regarding other movies that people thought could have clinched the award. I mean, it could have, not even the award, the nomination. You know, hers was a disqualification case or something. So the conversation then was regarding how publicized when it was time to get the entries, how publicized was that, how many people heard about it, the mainstream media didn't know anything about it. You know, that conversation came up quite a lot, and I'm glad that the NOSC heard that, and I think they are partnering with media platforms right now to push out the message. And anybody that doesn't hear about this right now just didn't pay attention, or you probably don't have anything to put out there, you know, that is Oscar standard. So this is an opportunity for everyone to send in what they think meets the standard, because of course that conversation helped us understand the criteria as well regarding indigenous language and what they expect, the percentage, the translation and all that. So we have, even if you're not in that space, we have a fair idea of what it is. And this, I'm going to use this opportunity to probably call on those who will be wanting to send in their entry. I mean, you know the criteria. If you don't meet that criteria, kindly do not bother sending it, so that these people can have enough time and space to go through other movies that have got that whatever it is they're looking for, and be able to make the right decision for us right now, because this is about us as Nigerians, not just about the filmmakers or just about Nollywood or the people on NOSC. So let's just do the right thing at the right time, and I'm hoping that we can trust their judgments to pick the right movie this time around to at least clinch that nomination. That would be it. Yeah? I mean, we hope for that. So good luck to everyone looking out to that. And it's also worthy to mention that this is the first and only one that they are going to consider movies that didn't get to the cinema because of COVID-19.
But you have to have been stated to be in the cinemas.
You should have had the plan.
I like that as well, because you can't lose on both ends. Like, there are a lot of people that put out a lot of money for their movies to get to the cinema, but because of the COVID-19 pandemic, the movies never saw the light of day of the cinemas, and
but they must have streamed on a reputable commercial streaming platform.
So I just think that is good, because you can't put in all the work, and then because of a pandemic, we know how difficult those times are, but at least, you know, when you still consider people, knowing that it is a pandemic, it's nobody's fault, but your work is still being appreciated.
Yeah, so kudos, and we'll be watching the space closely to know what Nigerian movie will be sent in. Now, moving on to the next story, John Boyega is not happy about the direction of black characters at Disney beyond marketing. In a new interview with GQ magazine, he criticized bosses at Disney for marketing the presence of a black character in the movies, but failing to bring the characters to a satisfying conclusion. He said, and I quote, "You get yourself involved in projects and you're not necessarily going to like everything. What I would say to Disney is do not bring out a black character, market them to be much more important in the franchise than they are, and then have them pushed to the side. It is not good. I'll say it straight up." End of quotes. And all this is based on The Rise of Skywalker, which concludes a trilogy of Star Wars films that began in 2015.
Then there's a classic case of use and dump. Because at the end of the day, they make these guys feel like, oh, you're very important to these movies, you know, like your roles, your characters are very important. And then at the end of the day, due to racial differences, they push them to the sideline, and then they project the people that they actually had plans to project from the onset. But because of what we've always said about the movie industry, and especially the white-dominated industries, where they are everybody is trying to be politically correct now, so you see this balance. Like, even if it's a movie that I feel like all white people can do, there has to be an inclusion of a black guy somewhere,
and a gay guy,
or a gay guy. You get. So I think it all still boils down to that politics that they feel, the gimmicks that they feel we do not know about, but deep inside we know that, yeah, we know what you guys are doing. So I feel like this is just one of those things, but in this case, they try to include them. But if you can remember, there was a backlash when John Boyega was the one who got the role for Star Wars, that and like, why would you put a black guy in it? You know, it was back and forth. So is it that they are beginning to listen to what the fans are saying? Like, no, a black guy didn't fit in, or what exactly is going on? Or is it just one of those gimmicks? They just throw a black man in, and
I don't want to completely think it's a gimmick or believe it's a gimmick, because I mean, I would love for other people in the industry to come out to say one or two things before I can conclude.
I think he called other black people that were on.
No, he just called the guy that is also in the same movie, who is an Asian. No, just two people, just him and one Kelly guy. I can't remember his name properly right now. Those are two people, him and that other person, apparently. Anyway, but then it could also be just a creative blunder, like a creative. What if they also had an idea, or maybe as time goes on, there will be an idea to develop their own character to something else? I mean, when it comes to superheroes and sequels and all these powers, we know what happens. I mean, we saw what happened with Black Panther. Black Panther was never the focus until we saw a Black Panther. Yeah, so I think I don't want to jump into conclusion. It could also be that he's just in his feelings. I mean, you cannot rule that away, and he just feels like, so because my character was not developed, and since I'm black, I feel like I'm being oppressed. But it could just be that your character there was no plan to really develop it at this time, or even later, or now they can now decide to develop it later. I mean, there's a lot of what if not when it comes to creativity and writing, because you know, there are characters you see in a series, they start in the beginning, they are not really relevant, and then at the third season or fourth season you realize that the story now begins to revolve around a certain character, and you're wondering, How did that happen? You know, there a lot of things can happen when it comes to creativity and writing for a movie. I don't want to believe that this is Disney's plan to say, okay, we are going to market to these people because they want to be included, and the blacks are yearning for something, and then once we get the market, we then throw it aside. Nah, I don't think that's the case.
And off the back of what you just said, I think it's also, I am beginning to see a lot of sense in what you said, because we like to play the victim card like so much. Like everything is because I'm black. It's because I'm black. It's not always because you're black. Sometimes it's just because, okay, that character needs to come to an end. You're not the creative director, you're not the person in charge, you're not the one, you're not the producer. There are other people that called you to be screened for this certain movie.
Something that backs
they have
it up.
the dreams, you understand, and they know the direction in which they want their movie to go. So I think sometimes, like you said, we shouldn't be all up in our feelings and stop playing the racial card all the time.
Tea Time continues right after the short break.
Is it for upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria?
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Buki November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's Tea Time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
Welcome back. This is Tea Time on Plus TV Africa. Now, Dwayne Johnson reveals he and his family test positive to COVID-19, and it's been challenging, advising people to stay disciplined, boost their immune system, commit to wellness, and wear a face mask.
My wife, Lauren, as well as my two baby girls and myself, we have all tested positive for COVID-19. And I could tell you that this has been one of the most challenging and difficult things we have ever had to endure as a family, and for me personally too as well. And I've gone through some doozies in the past. I've gotten knocked about and got my ass kicked a little bit in the past with some challenges, but testing positive for COVID-19 is much different than overcoming nasty injuries or being evicted or even being broke, which I have been more than a few times. And the reason why I feel like this is different is because my number one priority is to always protect my family and protect my children, my loved ones. By the way, I know I speak for all of you guys. It is our number one priority. All of you guys around the world, you always want to protect your family and your babies. And I wish it was only me who tested positive, but it wasn't. It was my entire family. So this one was a real kick in the gut. But I am happy to tell you guys that we as a family are good. We are on the other end of it. We're on the other side. We are no longer contagious, and we are, thank God, we are healthy. And we've gotten through COVID-19 stronger and healthier. And, you know, believe me, I am counting my blessings because like all of us, we all have been hit by this thing. Whether it is people we know, family we know, loved ones we know, friends we know. So we are counting our blessings right now because we're well aware that it isn't always the case that you get on the other end of COVID-19 stronger and healthier. I have had some of my best friends have lost their parents, their loved ones to this virus that is so incredibly relentless and unforgiving, and it is insidious. We are counting our blessings. But we are good. And, you know, I got to tell you, you know, some of the silver linings out of this, and I'm always trying to look for silver linings when challenges come my way, is generally babies and little children can often have little to no symptoms at all. So for our babies, Jazzy and Tia, it was, they had a little sore throat the first couple of days, but other than that, they bounced back and it's been life as normal. Happy babies running around and playing, but we have isolated ourselves as a family. It's what we had to do. But Lauren and I, it was a little bit different for Lauren and I. We had a rough go, but we got through it. Again, we got through it as a family. We are stronger, we are better, and we did it together. We picked up COVID-19 from very close family friends.
And then someone would ask that why is it that when Nigerian celebrities come out to speak about their COVID-19, we don't take them seriously? Do you see how this guy gave us detail for the word? Like, he gave us he broke it down. He told you some of the challenges he faced. He told you some of the things he faced mentally, emotionally, as a father.
And it is they also face peculiar to their own family, not playing to the gallery.
Do you understand? Like, he gave you everything. So there's, how on earth would I look at this and be like, if it's not true, then it's great acting, Oscar deserving, actually. Do you understand? Because I just feel like that's the same thing that Nigerians need to take a toll from, or take a cue from, and learn from, that when you need to speak about things that affect people worldwide, you need to show more emotions, you need to give more information, and don't be holding back on certain things. So I appreciate the way he came out to talk about it, and the advice that he gave to everyone out there about how to keep safe, how there are different peculiarities to certain people that have the virus and all that. So it's amazing, and I just want that, and I hope this just serves as a point of contact to everyone who still feels like there's no COVID-19. It is still there. People are still getting it. Is it still as rampant as it was? Maybe not. Is it still as scary as it was? Maybe not, because yes, I can remember the pandemonium. Yeah, it is still dangerous, but you know, the fear at the beginning. Now we know we're beginning to make progress one way or another. You know, it is not a death sentence anymore. You know, back then we used to think like once you have it, you're going to die for sure. But right now, I think people are beginning to get more educated. People are beginning to get more aware. But are we still keeping safe? I do not think so, which is why I like the fact that he said wear your mask. He still told you the things to do to still get out of this. So it's amazing, and big shout out to the Johnson families, and I'm glad they're safe and healthy now. Yeah, I'm definitely glad they're safe, and he says they're in a good place now health-wise, so I'm glad. I mean, the place that got me laughing was when he said he's been broke as well sometime. Yeah, but I just want to reiterate what he has said, which is boost your immune system. I've said that over and over again. If you felt mine was on this table, she would definitely laugh. Boost your immune system. Wear your face masks, live a healthy life. Like, do everything possible to ensure that your immune system is on a top notch. Now, that includes eating healthy, of course, your vegetables, your fruits and all that. And also, I mean, one thing they also say is when they ask you to eat healthy, they say it's expensive. I don't think it's as expensive as people make it out to be. It is when you want to eat the food of 10 people at the same time, that is when it becomes expensive. And I don't think that's a healthy lifestyle anyway. So I think we should actually take a step back, think of what we are eating. Are you just eating rice and loading rice, and then at the end of the day you use one small piece of meat? You can even load rice, but how do you mix up your rice? Do you mix up your rice? So I think we should, I mean, immune boosters, vitamin C, what's this thing, what's they call the supplements. Take a lot of supplements and just be ready, wash your hands, wear your face masks, and be ready to fight it when it comes. That's if it comes. I'm just saying, so that's basically it for me. And of course, I'm happy for his family. Like he said, people have lost loved ones, so it's something that we need to be very sensitive about. And I like that you also touched about the difference between how the celebrities come out over there, talk about their own case when they encounter COVID-19, and how our own here, it feels like, I just want to make the news anyway. So there is a huge difference. So forgive us when we probably don't believe you. And I mean, moving on, you also talked about it not being as rampant anymore, but you know the dangerousness, if there's a word like that, of this disease has to do with whatever it meets in your own system. So I could have the disease and I get better, maybe I have a good immune system, and the next person who we thought is actually okay and has a good health care or health system might not be able to survive it, and the person could get it based on my own carelessness. So because of that reason, because of the fact that you can't predict how this virus is going to react in somebody else's body, is why we still need to be very careful, and that is why it's still very dangerous to me as a person. So I just all of us, I really hope we get to that point where we can say COVID-19 is gone. And I know it will happen. I know it will happen. I mean, we beat wild polio, so we'll do this one. Ebola still there.
Okay, I think that's how we wrap up this episode of Tea Time. Thank you for watching, and please send your opinions via WhatsApp to 09060005719 or tweet at us at Plus TV Africa. My thank you, as always, go to my co-anchor Ife Oluwa-Oshunkeye, and of course, you can watch Tea Time on Auto TV and in London on Ben Television. My name is Elsie Godwin. Please do stay safe.
Welcome to Ladies Talking Business on Plus TV Africa. I am your host, Anita Felix, and with me is my co-host, Moremi Akano.
On today's episode, we will be talking about forex trading.
We have nations of the world, they trade forex. We have CBNs of nations, they trade forex. The super rich and their children.
How much can I start with?
When it comes to forex, you can start wherever you are, whatever your capacity is. Some brokers will even take as little as $5 from you. You can take that to the bank. It teaches you the act of money multiplication. The more money you use to trade, the more money you make. Then the second thing again is your risk management parameters. We call it lot sizes. I don't really like talking about making a lot of money in forex, especially when I'm talking to somebody that hasn't done this before. A lot of people have a misconception when it comes to forex. They see it as something that they enter today and tomorrow they begin to make $1,000. It does not work that way.
A lot of the jobs that exist today will not exist in the next 10 years.
10 years.
When I see people today shouting, we're not too young to run, we are ready to run. Ready to run to where?
The people of excellence are, to a certain extent, being held ransom by idiots and bandits.
Once you are in government, you believe everything you do is right. And once you are in opposition, everything the government does is wrong.
And so it's time for us to take over power.
If you live in Lagos or visiting Lagos, the commercial nerve center of Nigeria, and with a population of over 20 million persons, you would notice the traffic is almost a daily life situation. To ease this burden, the Lagos State government have put in place Lagos State Traffic Management Authority, LASMA, to control the traffic situation. But as you would imagine, it is still overwhelming. Well, recently we began to notice a different kind of traffic warden on the Lagos Island part, not employed by the government, but on voluntary basis. They are physically challenged. Ismail and Ibrahim used to be beggars, but after Lagos State government placed a ban on begging, they decided to do something different.
Na yi niyyar wannan aiki, kuma ko da yaushe ina nan cikin wannan aiki. Ba gudu ba jaraba. Gwamnati ta taimaka mun. A taimaka mun. Ma ko da wani lokaci ai na san ganin mu za a gamu. Gwamnati ta taimaka mun. Allah muna son wannan aikin saboda ba ma son bara. Wannan barace-baracen ya ishe mu. Shi yasa muna wannan aiki.
Ina roƙon mutane waɗanda suke masu kuɗi, Hausawanmu, wuci Yoruba, wuci Igbo. Ina roƙon su taimaka mana da wannan abin da muke yi, ko aikin yi, ko allowance, duk abin da ya samu muna da buƙata.
Motorists attest to the fact that their voluntary services have been quite helpful, while calling for some sort of formal payment be made to them.
We really thank God for them, that they are here. If not, you know, there will be a lot of traffic. They are helping us here very well. And we want government, at least if they can do something for them, maybe little things at the end of the month. Because we really like that. We too that are driving always give them something. If not because of them, there will be a lot of traffic over here.
Most times when I pass around, I saw that particular guy there doing some traffic work there. I'm encouraged because one, they are giving them a kind of privilege to also try and use their skills, you know, and they can also to the society by also doing some other work like that is very good. So that will be a kind of an encouragement to other people so that they will not look down on anybody that is, they're also human being like us. So for me, it's encouraging, and I think it's a very better idea.
I will support them at the same time just because of the traffic men are not much, and the last man are not here, and the policemen are not here, the PCRC members are not here, which I'm one of the members, but it's okay, we support them. At least if Lagos State government can look at a way they can just reach out to these ones by giving them other uniforms to, perform this duty they are doing at the same time. If the government can be able to reach out to them with some little funds every month, so to encourage them to do what they're doing instead of then going on the street begging people money.
This uniform, government does not give me this uniform. So the work what they do inside this order, many people that go see me, they go give me something what go buy. So now the thing what go take buy this uniform because na him be my uniform, na him be ID card.
I doubt if the community were the one that contracted them. I believe they are volunteers. But however, whichever way, I think the community should take advantage in the sense that they've changed from, instead of begging, they've decided to volunteer their service in controlling traffic. And basically they are trying. I remember sometime, was it early January or between early January and late December, I can't place it, at going close to a roundabout. If you're coming out from Etimi and the other ending, there's this crippled guy. Each time I close from work, I'm always seeing him there around 4, 5, 6. He's doing an amazing job there because usually that place used to be a spot for heavy traffic. Everybody wants to move, and so if we are the local government chair lady, or if there's a way we can get across to her, let her just take advantage and recruit them, and even if it's just a commission, it should be placed on a payroll or something.
In a separate event, we caught up with Princess Rashidat Adu, the executive chairman at Etusa local government area, where they serve, and she says this of them.
For the traffic officers that you said you see, they've attached themselves to the local government. Sincerely, I didn't give them jackets because I saw them too on the road, and I approached them. When I see them, I just give them money because I believe that they are looking for what to put in their mouth. And sometimes I call them to the office. I said, I don't want to be seeing you at the roundabout because of your own security. You never can tell. A vehicle can be coming now and something will happen. I am the first point of call. Because of that, I try to discourage them from controlling the traffic. But because they now told me that this is what they get, at least people that are passing, the motorists, they'll tip them and all that. I said, okay, what do you think we can do that will bring money to you? And some came, they said they want to go back to their villages, and I gave them money. I said, okay, when you get back to your village, what will you be doing? One said you'll be doing shoemaker. One said he will be selling provision. And I said, okay, how much do you think that will cost? And they mentioned the money, very ridiculous. But in my own little way, I gave to them. And I asked them to go back. Funny enough, they didn't go back. You will still see these same people on the road controlling traffic. So what do? There's nothing you do about it. Because in a way, that is how they get their own livelihood, and stopping them from doing it will be a harm to them. And I don't want to harm anybody. As much as I want to add value to the life of the people around Victoria Island, I think since they said that is what they want to do, let them continue doing it.
However, motorists like Kalu, on the contrary, feels they are not needed all the time.
It would be better when there's much traffic, but now there is no traffic. Staying here is not all that conducive now, because I suppose I've already passed.
While doing their bit to ease off the traffic, Ibrahim acknowledges that they meet motorists who sometimes are impatient with them.
I don't forget for that day. I just stopped the one person for this job. The time when you come block the road, I say stop, make you one person pass. So that time, for this man, I beg and say stop. No one stop. You ready to jam me for the motor? You don't know, say, you see me say me I am disabled. Why not stop? I know they stop him for nothing. Because he come blocking the road. He come show me say he get power. He block me for this, my eyes. Remain small, it will scatter my eyes.
Well, with over 1.6 million vehicles plying Lagos roads daily, just maybe volunteers like Ibrahim and Ismail are a great asset aiding government strategies to tackle high-volume traffic across the state. For Plus TV Africa, Amaka Okoye.
As conversations over the water resource bill build up, Nobel laureate Professor Wole Soyinka bears his mind on the proposed legislation. And while APC insists resident electoral commissioner Mike Guinea was frolicking with Governor Obaseki, some interest warn politicians against unfounded allegations. This is Plus Politics. I am Kayode Ladende. Once again, you're welcome to Plus Politics. The National Water Resource Bill, which failed to secure a concurrent passage by both houses in the 8th Assembly, has now in the current 9th Assembly passed second reading in the House of Representatives and has been referred to a House committee. These has sparked off several reactions, especially condemnations from several quarters across the country. Joining us to discuss this is the Nobel laureate, Professor Wole Soyinka, who now joins us via Zoom to discuss this issue and some other national issues. Good evening, Prof.
Good evening.
Yeah, good to have you again. No thanks to the network when we wanted to hear your take on this issue. But let's hope that network will be very friendly with us tonight.
I hope so too.
Okay, let's start with a statement credited to you. I know someone represented you, but let's confirm whether this statement actually came from you. What do you think about describing it as the National Water Resource Bill is a deliberate flanking move towards Ruga colonization? The word Ruga came up again. What exactly do you mean, Prof?
Well, there's no other way in which I can describe it. When you take over the water resources of any society, of any country, any space, whatever, and you demarcate a certain distance from that water source, right, left, north, south, etc., it means you can do whatever you want on that landed estate, that real estate. We won't even begin talking about the fish in the water and all other habitats of the water. Let's look at the land alone. It means you can push a project like Ruga there, and nobody can complain because you've already taken that space over. And I find that outrageous.
That's another word we're looking at. When you say Nigeria will be doomed if this bill is passed, without being misrepresenting you, can you also throw more light on that?
Well, look, this is not an isolated issue. It's in the context of the kind of regime this has turned out to be, which has proved itself to be a very partisan, sectarian kind of regime with very limited scope of what it considers its constituency. And that narrow constituency is like a tail which has been wagging the dog, and it's becoming more and more apparent every day. I mean, when you decide to take control of people's water resources, you literally telling them that their the primary source for existence is in control centrally of a place which has no notion and no immediate association with the environment over which it's legislating. Now that's a very, very provocative kind of action. That's why I say if this bill is passed, this nation is doomed.
That's very okay. Let's also look at the intention, and for those proponents who believe that why should we have this kind of suspicion? They cited Western climes like the UK, where the water is well regulated, and they also mentioned the idea of meeting up with the SDGs, where there is a kind of pipe-borne water provided for everyone. So basically, can we give them some benefit of doubt?
No, let's ask them instead, just what has happened astronomically that warranted intervention with the way the water resources of this nation have been managed before. Just what has happened in the meantime to the stratosphere. Oh, we know there is global warming, etc., etc. But what has happened since this regime took over, environmentally, that warrants this kind of legislation? And those who support it, let them come out and tell us. Let them come and debate it. I, for one, am willing to meet with them, and I'm sure hundreds of others, and debate it publicly. Let them just tell us what has happened that warranted their leaving some very critical issues over which they have failed so far. And then, is this a diversion? Is this a game? Is it that there's a predetermined agenda somewhere? No, let them tell us what warranted bringing up this bill, especially after it has been rejected.
Okay, now talking about the rejection, in the 8th Assembly, quoting you now, you did say that, I have it on the screen, a roundly condemned project blasted out of sight by public outrage 1 or 2 years ago is being exhumed and sneaked back into service by none other than a failed government, and with the consent of a body of people supposedly elected to serve as custodians of the rights, freedoms, and existential exigencies of millions. Now, Prof, we're looking at whatever debate, some are even saying let it not even get to public debate, it should be thrown out. But still trying to listen to them, we're looking at what is the alternative, if at all this bill needs to be reintroduced in a better way? What are those clauses you have issues with? Is it the fact that they have to take care of the fish, or it shouldn't be controlled by the federal, it should be controlled by the state? What are exactly your grouses against it?
Well, again, I keep saying to people to look at everything in the global context. This nation has been screaming restructuring, which, taken as broadly or as narrowly as alike, really amounts to decentralization. There's some major issues of revenue generation, distribution of resources, etc., etc. And this should be looked at within that context. In other words, while turning a deaf ear to issues of restructuring, decentralization, then even some natural resources which have not been at issue before are now being centralized. Now, what kind of progression or retrogression is that? It means that the people are at variance with this government, with this state. And when that happens, it means that there is going to be conflagration without any question.
Still talking about conflagration, I'm just looking at it that we deserve some pipe-borne water in all areas. For example, I think you also touched on that. When people explain why, we've seen blocks of flat, like 10 blocks of flat, where each house digs a borehole. But from what environmentalists have said, they said this is a dangerous move by people. So how do we have a way of regulating it? You have been around much longer than many of us. That there was a time where we had water being, controlled by the government. So how have we degenerated to this level, and how can we come back to have this water well regulated like we have in other civilized climes?
Well, I would say that the first step is, first of all, for this regime and the legislative houses, which very strangely, I'm astonished. Anything can come out of the presidency. I can deal with that. But really what shocks me is that people who've been elected, from within immediate constituencies, which involve survival, generation of means of existence, of enhancement of existence, etc., coming from those who haven't even seen piped water for donkey years, but have been relying on natural resources for cooking, bathing, etc., watering, irrigation. And suddenly this a government which has proved incapable of providing potable water, or providing even water for against COVID to ensure that you have running water so you can wash your hands and so on. Somebody wants to take over the resources of this nation. To do what with the water resources? And in addition, the land adjoining these water resources, whether underground or above ground. What kind of confidence does one repose in a government like that? So live well alone if you have proved yourself incapable of improving the quality of life of the people in this particular context, with this particular resource. Don't take on any additional burden on yourself, because to start with, you will fail. That's number one. Number two, it's provocative because there has been a program. There's been a program, it's called RUGA, in which this very government attempted to sort of corral areas at will all over the states in order to accommodate one of the many businesses run by this nation. And that program has been rejected outside. And you and I know very well that this is one conduit towards actualizing that rejected program. It makes people lose confidence in the government, even in other directions where it may be it is being positive. So I don't know if I'm taking over your question, but I'm trying to look at this whole thing, trying to make people understand that we cannot see this merely as an isolated instance, but as part of a very sinister agenda.
Talking about the sinister agenda, Prof, I'm still trying to look at it that technically Ruga seems to have been completely resisted, probably by you and some other people who stood against it. So why should we express some bit of suspicion that Ruga will come in through this control of water resources?
Well, what happens? I come from Ogun State, for instance. We have a river there called Ogun River. Suppose tomorrow, now, a certain squad or whatever, whether hooved or booted, the squad comes along and says, all right, this portion of your land now belongs, that comes under the control of the federal government because this bill has been passed. And in the wake of that squad, whatever, whether it's cattle or sheep or pigs, I don't give a damn. And say we are now under federal control. This area now belongs to the government, to the central government, and we can do what we want with it. And so today we are driving pigs to take over that land. I'm putting it as crudely as I can and as simplistically as I can, because I want people to understand the implications of this before we go even further. So what happens? Of course, there's conflict. There's conflict here, there's conflict there. The security forces cannot cope with that kind of conflict. It's obvious. They have enough on their hands without generating new areas of antagonism between people and government. So why are they embarking on it? Why? Are there not more important critical issues with which this government is confronted and which requires the collaboration and the the assistance even of the people themselves. Why are they antagonizing people? What is the purpose?
Okay, while we wait for answers to be provided, and you've also stated clearly here that you will be interested in being part of that public hearing, we'll hope that whatever is going to be done, Nigerians will not be kept in the dark. Let me just take advantage of having you speak on some other national issues because of our time. Let's start with, I think everywhere is your sphere, but let's start with the issue of Unilag and the drama that happened where the pro-chancellor suspended the vice-chancellor and the intervention of the president. What do you make of this, at least, if there's any lesson to be learned, so that we don't have a repeat of such drama that happened in Unilag?
Yes, I'm very sad about Unilag. As you know, I consider myself an alumnus of that place. I taught there. And it's part and parcel, if you like, even the inauguration of that university. And so all of us are unhappy about it. But what I would like to request is that we allow, since things have gone this far, and we should never have arrived at this stage. It's gone so far. Let the panels, etc., which have been set up, let them finish their work, and then we'll comment. At this stage, I think it's better not to comment. Let's just say that the principle of university autonomy happens to be something I've believed in all my life, and I've worked towards. And so it's very distressing when I see intervention on this level, on this visitorial level, which apparently is permitted, of course, by the constitution of the university itself. So once that has begun work, let's wait and see how it peters out. Then we'll make comments.
Okay. As much as we may also want to say that the NBA issue has also rested, where the governor of Kaduna State was disinvited after being invited initially. And now as we speak, we have some lawyers from the north forming their own NBA. And I stand to be corrected. That seems to be the first time that NBA will be having faction or some form of balkanization. What do you really think about how the thing turned out from El Rufai to being disinvited, and just your take on it, sir?
Governors seem to be very much in the news these days, and very often for the wrong reasons. My feeling about this is that once they had invited him, first of all, any organization has a right to invite or disinvite. I believe that. If an issue comes up, let's say you invited somebody to come and speak on child protection, and it turns out that person happens to be a pedophile, obviously you have a right to say, sorry, we made a mistake, etc. But this is not the case. And so this particular case, I think it's unfortunate. Once they had invited him, they should have let him come and then taken him to task over issues which made them consider disinviting him. This is the opportunity to have dialogue. It's very different. I spoke earlier about governors being in the news. Very different from a situation of the governor who says he's going to sign a death warrant the moment he's given the go-ahead by the court. Death warrant on somebody who it is claimed happened to blaspheme against the avatar, the prophet, the principal, holy personage of that religion, and then you sentence that kind of person to death. Now, if the NBA had invited that person, see, that's why I say we must be very careful and take cases like this one by one. If the NBA had invited that person to come and address them, and then in the meantime, that governor who has a backload, a load on his head to start with, but that's irrelevant. We can talk about that later on. Then says that he will back capital punishment under a theocratic law in a secular nation. I would say that the NBA would have a right to tell him to please turn around and go back to his theocratic constituency. It's very different, you see, from the case of El Rufai, who's just accused of of not, shall we say, being a good lawyer, a good member of the association. So I like us to be very careful about general principles and individual situations and not allow. For me, I'm more concerned, for instance, about what that governor, Ganduje, is about to do to a Nigerian citizen than I am. I've not exercised by whether El Rufai is invited or disinvited. Well, I am in a way, but not as much as I am by the fact that a governor wants to go and hang an individual who is accused of having blasphemed against one of the many prophets that we have in this world and in this country.
Oh, Prof, thank you for going into the issue of Kano. And by extension, I think your position is very clear, very, very unambiguous. Now we have another issue, the issue of karma. And we see churches, quite the umbrella body, the sub-body, saying that they have some issues with the law. What's your take about the karma?
Well, why is there so much emphasis about the Christian religion? Why? There are many religions in this nation. Why aren't we talking about mosques as well? I'll be surprised if the Muslims do not also take up issue with karma. Because we keep saying, as secularists, as absolutely convinced and committed secularists, that theocracies have no business with government. Vice versa, governments should have no business with theocracies and with religion, right? Distinction, please. Now, the government cannot say religious bodies should be subject to secular laws. No, that's wrong. Otherwise, you have a right, the religious bodies have a right to say, yes, we're just another arm of governance, therefore we have the right to set up theocracies. So we must reject this kind of mutual intervention. Now, there are laws, and those laws are constantly being applied. Pick up the papers one day, and we find there is a rapist, Christian or Muslim, a pedophile, rapist, or Muslim or Christian, etc., etc. And there are laws which take care of individuals. We have robbery, we have malfeasance, we have misappropriation of funds, and the laws exist which take care of those. And then all the time people are talking Christianity, Islam. Are those the only religions in this nation? There is the religion of the Orisha, which preceded Christianity and Islam. So what about them? Well, what's all this concentration on these foreign religions anyway? I would like to see the government try and change the board of trustees in an Ogun setting or a Shango setting and see what happens to them there. But if they flout the law, then they are subject to those legal protocols which bind everybody together. And so you cannot, on the one hand, say that you can hang somebody for something in one part of the country when he's free to conduct himself in the same way as another part of the country, and then say we are the same nation. And yet, at the same time, you say you have the right to interfere. Then why isn't the state interfering in the case of this young man, this musician, who's been sentenced to death for alleged blasphemy? So everything is cockeyed. We've got to come together and really make up our minds what kind of a society we are. Are we a secular society? Or, as some people like to be pedantic and say, we're not secular, we're multi-religious. All right, let's say you're multi-religious. Multi-religious country, that means that those religions cannot speak to governance, vice versa, unless those religions flout the legal protocols of association, bind us together. The government should please take their noses out of the businesses of those religious bodies.
Good. Let me just quickly talk on two issues before we let you go, sir. Let's look at what you mentioned about the Kano, and this might also help the younger generation to also understand what really transpired, how Sharia law was adopted in some states in the north, and how the president kicked against it, and he later got into the system where they will say that as long as you submit yourself to the theocracy part of the state, you're bound by those laws. So what exactly are you saying? Are you saying that that man should have been, should have been taken care by the secular law and not the Sharia law? Prof.
The Sharia system itself is a subject for extensive and comprehensive debate in this nation. Operating the Sharia law, quote unquote, for instance, there have been killings, extrajudicial killings, even under judicial laws. We have had situations where governors who set up their Hisbah, police have mobilized them, attacked hotels where drinks were being sold. We've had cases where lorry drivers who were just doing their own normal business, importing, exporting drinks, so-called alcoholic drinks, have been brought down. I'm going back in history now. You understand, this is nothing new, by the way. Only it has to be resolved now. We had them put down, necklaced, we've had assaults on religious possessions. We've had demands for the entire nation to observe theocratic laws which supposed to apply only to those who adhere to that particular theocratic system. I think it's about time that we just stop beating around the bush and ad hocing, improvising, and really define the various territories of the theocratic authority in this nation. We've had an assault on the capital of this nation, which is not any kind of theocratic something. We had assault because a beauty contest was going to take place there. We had hundreds of people killed. Till tomorrow, we have assaults and all kinds of, not even one religion against another, but even sects, one sect against another. And the problem is that the secular laws we bind all of us together have not been administered. In most cases, we do not see the exercise of crime and punishment. So what we do is just improvise, and we swallow the insolence, the arrogance, the imperial mentality of some religions in this nation, put the rest of us at risk. What is the result of these years of abandonment of responsibility? Boko Haram, ISWA, and Swadin. We've been under threat by neighboring countries, north, when those religious fundamentalists come and assault the rest of us. We have inhibiting expressions like Islamophobe. When you criticize us, oh yeah, you hate our religion. But don't we also have religious maniacs? Don't we also have religious fanatics who actually corrode the very basis of society? Those who don't even respect those of us who say, we don't believe in your religion. Now leave us civilly alone and let us organize a humanistic system of coexistence. So you touched on a very large subject, and I don't want us to trivialize it, to oversimplify it. I'm just saying it's about time that we all came together and sat and decided what kind of a nation we are. And let's not regret, let's not go back to those days when attempted coups were made, in which demands were made that certain states should be excised. You remember that, don't you? Okay, not just secession, but saying, you, because you don't believe in the rest of us, please get out. Let's not go back to that kind of approach, in which we say, if you hang this man, we're going to work for that state to be excised from the rest of the nation.
Wow.
Because that's where we're heading right now.
Okay, Prof, let us take this as a bonus. I'd like to get your take in the next 60 seconds on what is going on in Mali. I know what you've done about the issue of military takeover. Is this an exception where you have your kind of endorsement?
No, I'm afraid I can't. I think 1 year is even too long to give to those people. You should have given them 1 month. They interrupted something. Putting that something back together should not take more than a few weeks. At the same time, and when I try to give credit, people say, oh yes, you're backing this, you're backing this. But I like to be very fair. We moved positively. We made some progress. Time was when Yarima, that criminal, over there, when he would have stayed there forever and ever, ECOWAS moved and told him it's time to get out. Yes, there are successes. This one, the same thing, but I think they were too gentle with him. And I believe that we should say, not Jonathan back, but maybe Obasanjo, I think it's a bit more tougher than Jonathan. Send man, go and tell them, listen, get out of there another month, or else we're going to starve you out.
Thank you very much, Professor Wale Soyinka, the Nobel laureate. Thank you for your intervention on this many national issues. And those issues that you said that we have actually opened, maybe some other time, we'll have the opportunity to have you expatiate more on them. Thank you for your time, sir.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yes, we will take a short break, and when we return, we'll go over to Edo State, where politics thickens. Please don't go anywhere.
Plus TV Africa is a news television station that prides itself in presenting to our audience the unbundling of big stories that impact the lives of Africans at home within the continent and those in diaspora.
I'm on the field and ready for you.
Okay. Vibration and a sudden explosion.
You
have to think big, but you have to start small.
I want to encourage you to wear a mask wherever you go.
We use some of the best technology to create the kind of content that millennials love to watch. We unbundle the kind of stories that impact their lives and they are happy to learn from. This is where big stories live.
3, 2, 1,
Thank you for joining us in Plus TV Africa News.
Welcome back. It's still Plus Politics. Now we move over to Edo State. And as with only 17 days left to the September 19 much-awaited Edo gubernatorial election, it is more battle of words as the PDP is lambasting the APC over allegations that the Akwa Ibom resident electoral commissioner Mike Igini is trying to rig the election in favor of the incumbent PDP. To discuss this, we are now being joined by, I'm sure he's going to join us soon, Yerima Shetima, who is the president of Arewa Youth Consultative Forum. And you might be wondering, what does he have to say about Edo election? You will find out. And also joining us in this conversation is a chieftain of PDP in Edo State, Mr. Greg Ogiogwa. Good evening, Mr. Greg.
How you doing? How you guys doing?
Yeah, good to have you. Very soon, just to let you know that we'll be joined by Yerima Shetima. We understand that he has something to say about the allegation against the resident electoral commissioner. As much as, let me also put it on record, that we've tried to speak to the state chairman of APC in Edo State who made this allegation, and he declined to be part of this conversation. According to him, he has said what he needed to say. Let Igini clear his own name, and he has no nothing more to say, that we should stay with whatever he has said. So just to put it on right perspective. Now to you, Greg, what do you make out of this allegation? Like they say, is there any smoke without fire? Or is there any fire without smoke?
First, you just made a foundational statement. You called David Imoise, Colonel David Imoise, the chairman of the APC in Edo State. Colonel David Imoise is not the chairman of APC in Edo State. By law, before Mr. Anselmo Jesua, because in November last year, we purportedly removed Anselmo a state working committee.
Yeah, I want to believe that the TV is not on. Can you please put up the TV or put it on mute so that we can hear you? There is a kind of interference, and that is distorting your flow.
That's it.
Okay.
You see, in November of 2019, when
okay, Mr. Greg, just give me a few seconds. Just give me a few seconds. Just give me a few seconds. Let's take a short
error of using what they call the state working committee.
Okay, go ahead.
Which does not have the power to remove an executive member, any executive officer of the party. So first of all, that was wrong. The second part was that the process of even the removal of the chairman would have gone from the state to zonal and from zonal to national. And the chairman had 7 days with which to appeal against his removal. The very next day, after the state working committee purportedly held its removal, the very next day the national ratified it, national working committee. So that in itself was unconstitutional. And Anselmo Jesua went to court, and he got a court order reinstating him and restoring him, and positioning the whole situation to the status quo ante before the removal. So under the law, Anselmo Jesua is still the chairman of APC as of today.
Okay, can we stay on what Imuse said?
Was chairman of APC. It means that the very foundation of what we're discussing is wrong. David Imoise is not the chairman of APC.
Okay, Mr. Greg, can I...
case in court against him for contempt, or described by Anselmo Jesua against David Imoise.
Mr. Greg.
Describing himself as chairman. When he went and opened an office somewhere else, what they call an
Mr. Ogiogwa, please, excuse me. Let me interject here. Let me interject here, sir. I understand that you're a party man. I understand your grouse. But please, may I also inform you that as journalists, sorry sir, can I explain myself? Since you're questioning the way I ask my question, let me explain myself. As journalists, if 3 of you declare yourself as chairman, the best word, maybe the only correction I will put is a factional chairman. So the factional chairman of APC had come out to say that there is a surreptitious move by the incumbent governor to give money to the resident electoral commissioner. And I'm saying that, what do you have to say about that? Can we stay on the substance of the issue and not the periphery?
We can stay on the substance, but you know, one thing is that if your foundation is wrong, then your conclusion will be wrong. So the very foundation, Imoise is not even a factional chairman of APC. He is the chairman of EPM, Edo People's Movement, or whatever they call it. The courts have already said that if you don't know who is the chairman, let be guided by the courts, be guided by law. It's not my opinion. It's not the opinion of...
Okay, can we stay on the allegation now?
It is what the court says. It's a court judgment and order. Now, let's go on to the accusation against Mike Igini. Mike Igini, for people who do not know him or who do not understand the background, Mike Igini used to be in Edo State as an electoral officer, you know. And at that time, he was accused by ACN under Adam Joshomole that he was going to rig the elections for the PDP, because ACN was the only minority state, was the only opposition state in the South. All the other states were PDP. Oshomole, we marched, because I was in ATN at that time, we marched to INEC. We barricaded the place, mass protest. That Mikey Guinea and the INEC were going to rig the elections using federal might. What happened? Oshomole won the elections clean, fair and fair. And Mikey Guinea, they even offered Mikey Guinea a chieftaincy title in Edo State before he left to Akwa Ibom. He was celebrated as having delivered a minority state against federal might. All of a sudden, the same people are the ones now turning around and saying that Mikey Guinea is going to he's not even the resident electoral commissioner for Edo State. What is he going to come and do here? He's in Akwa Ibom. What power does he have? What you are seeing, and then please get this very, very clear. What you are seeing is the APC trying to put down a justificatory apology for losing the election in advance. They know they are not going to win this election. They know that. They have done opinion polls, surveys. I challenge them to bring out the results of the opinion polls and surveys that they have done, that we know, that we all have done. They can go and check it out. 80% approval rating. They know. And because of that, they are looking for justification. They are looking for a justification to lose the election. So they can now say that it was INEC. And that is reprehensible. You do not cast aspersions on the institutions of democracy. You don't cast aspersions on INEC. Don't cast aspersions on the judiciary. Don't cast aspersions on the police or the military, because these are institutions of state. Because things are not working well for you right now, you think look, Donald Trump is doing it in the US. He's saying that the mail service is not doing this, that the elections will be rigged, because he believes he will lose. Same thing is happening here. The APC know they are going to lose this election. Have you seen David Moise introduced as chairman of APC at any of the rallies that Osage Ezeyamu is doing? Have you seen him do it? Because he can't, because there's a case against him for contempt of court. So David Moise is totally irrelevant in this issue. He's just an ordinary member of the APC trying to make himself relevant. The APC knows that they are going to lose this election. So they are beginning to use the threats of violence. They're trying to scare people away from the polling booth. They're trying to use voter intimidation. They say they want to use federal might.
Greg, thank you.
That they have taken.
You really have a field day today because
because Buhari is not that way inclined.
Okay, Greg, it's interesting to hear you explain that we should respect the institution. It's quite interesting to see that you seem to be speaking the language of a civilized politician, and we hope that this will be the song at all time. I quite appreciate your intervention, but we have another person joining the conversation, and that's Yerima Shetima, like I hinted. We're surprised to have Yerima Shetima. Yerima, I read your statement online, and I saw that you were really
I'm having a very poor audio. Very poor audio. I can't hear.
Okay, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? And I can hear you very well. Yerima, if you can hear me, let me just quickly have your intervention. What do you have concerning the allegation against Mike Guinea? Okay, do you have any? Okay, Yerima, can you hear me? Are you using your hands-free? Okay, we are having issues with Yerima Shetima. Let's hope that that is sorted out and we can quickly bring him into this conversation. So, Greg, I was just teasing you the other time that you actually have a field day because APC guys are not here to also have their own take. It's not our fault. We try to speak to them. But talking about allegations and counter-allegations, your party at different times have also accused the institution of being one-sided or being biased, maybe not now. What do you have to say? I'm talking to you now as a representative of the political class. How do we ensure that we allow institutions to do their job?
We'll be specific about the institution and the particular allegation, because you do know that you have bad eggs within institution. A bad egg within an institution is not the same thing as an institution. You don't call out an institution and you do not cast aspersions on the institution because there are some bad eggs in it. So let us go to specifics. What are the specifics? Mike Guinea, in this particular instance, has a sterling reputation. I've never met the guy. But I took part in a protest march against him in 2012. 2012, yes, I think it was. Because the impression was that Edo State was a minority state. And PDP was controlled by Nigeria, the federal government was a PDP controlled government. And that they were going to use federal might, which is exactly what they have been saying in Edo State. That they're going to use federal might to ensure victory. But it is obvious that that's not working. Because just like Goodluck Jonathan did in 2012, we allowed the people's mandate, the people's will to
Greg, I'm so sorry. I know you've been very, very patient with me tonight, but please, let me quickly have Yerima. I think his audio is back now. If you can hear me, Yerima, quickly, let me have your take on what your issue is against the political class, accusing Mike Guinea of collecting money. Yerima, go ahead and speak. Hello, Yerima. Okay, it's so sad that we may not be able to take Yerima tonight. I sincerely hope that some other time you will have time to give your take on this. I can see that you're really struggling to be back. But let me quickly have Greg's final statement, because time is really not on our side. You were just talking about institution. Yeah, continue with your thoughts.
It's not Ganduje. We have video evidence of Ganduje collecting dollars. I mean, everybody has seen that. You have seen video evidence of public officials taking money. Do they have video evidence of Mike Guinea doing anything that is illegal? There's video evidence of Ganduje, who is the chairman of the National Campaign Committee for the APC. Video evidence.
Okay.
Do they have video?
So noted.
And I want to tell you one thing too. Listen to this. Mike Guinea is an official, is a federal government official. Whatever you say to disparage him or to bring down the institution of INEC, which is a statutorily declared institution of the federal government of Nigeria under the Constitution, actually amounts to fake news. And fake news, you know right now, is a criminal offense. So why has David Imose not been charged for fake news?
Okay, Mr. Greg. Thank you so much. Let's leave these questions.
Charge him under the fake news, the new fake news law.
Okay.
He has disparaged an institution of the federal government. He has cast aspersions on an official of the federal government. That in itself constitutes a criminal offense under the new law.
Interesting.
Charge him and find him
Interesting.
guilty.
Interesting perspective, Greg. Interesting perspective, Greg Ogiogwa, our PDP chieftain in Edo State, and we sincerely hope that come September 19, we will have original results and not fake results for your intervention. Yeah, and to our viewers, thank you for staying with us. We'll take a short break, and when we come back, I'll be giving you my take. Please don't go anywhere. And here's my take on the Water Resources Bill. It still begs the question why government will be bent on a matter a large number of its citizens are kicking against. Has the sponsor or sponsors of this bill wonder why a review shouldn't be done or why it was thrown out in the last assembly? Has or have they wondered why moves of this nature are always greeted with distrust and suspicion? In my view, this bill does not have to get to the public hearing stage before it is thrown away. I ask again, in whose interest is this bill? Who is supporting this bill? Should please come out and educate us on the rationale behind the bill. If indeed there are genuine environmental concerns, let it come through action of responsible governance and not through act of parliament. I'm afraid that is how much we can take on Plus Politics. Plus Politics returns tomorrow, same time, on the same station. I remain yours truly, Kayode Ladende, saying bye for now.
Congratulations, you beat coronavirus hands down.
Yes, I did. The problem is when people lose confidence in governments, it becomes very serious in emergencies like this.
To all citizens, stay at home in the areas under lockdown.
I never jumped since yesterday. Now ball I dey play. So they make myself very happy. For this country, wetin dey happen gone?
They say they share money.
I
dey go check my ATM every day, I don't see anything yet.
That this is indeed the most challenging crisis we have faced since the Second World War.
A week ago, Mother Rica declared a state of national disaster.
All things cannot take work. When you come out of prison, you will not go back.
That's a challenge at the moment.
We have had 100% recovery.
The virus wey they talk about, say hungry big pass am. Understand? No virus wey big pass hungry.
Plus TV Africa. Plus TV Africa.
Big stories live here.
When I heard him, I didn't know he was a sickler until last year. Though at birth, from birth till like age 2, he was always getting sick, always leg pain, my hand and everything. We did a genotype test, then they told us to say AA. So we didn't even think it was sickle cell anemia. So once he clocked 2, he stopped having crisis. So we continued like that until last year. It was a mistake. So it was during the exam, he now started serious, couldn't breathe properly again. Though naturally he's always been on no matter what he eats, he doesn't add weight. But for him, I knew from birth that he was a sickler.
Some of my own experience are the hand pain. The hand pain, I've never experienced the hand pain. I only experienced it once after all the pains were gone. But the chest thing was the first I started experiencing.
When there is a deformity in this oxygen carrying capacity of the blood, that is, there is a deformity in the red blood cells. This oxygen capacity, carrying capacity, it becomes abnormal. It can no longer hold. Now, what we call sickling, that word sickle cell comes from sickling of the red blood cells. The red blood cell is concave, and when it is now sickled, its course is sickled. Like a sickle. That means the capacity, the ability to carry oxygen is reduced.
There are a lot of challenges, but I will go with, growing up having sickle cell is one of the most difficult things ever. And I believe also that surviving sickle cell is dependent on how the warrior has been treated.
Living with it in your school days, you have to know how to survive. Sometimes you miss classes, you miss exams because you're having a crisis. Sometimes you have to, the relationship between your family and friends becomes, there's this strain, especially if you don't have a patient family, that really understand what sickle cell is.
I was exposed to a lot of medications, a lot of treatments, a lot of prayer houses, a lot of deliverance sessions. So, being a child, you have no option. You just have to go with whatever your parents say.
Whenever any person has had sickle cell and there is manifestation, then what we can do is to now treat or prevent them from having crisis. There is one thing to have sickle cell, another thing is to have crisis from the sickle cell. This crisis is derived to oxygen delivery to the blood cells.
Malaria is something that actually brings my own crisis and blood infection, the usual typhoid that they call. If it starts with my limbs, I know malaria is around the corner. But if it starts with my vertebral column, I know that this could be blood infection.
What makes me know that, okay, probably I'm going into crisis is that I start feeling a bit tired, a bit weak. Then I start feeling these pinches, on my body. I started having crisis even before we knew it was sickle cell. So I've been living with I'm 35 now. So let me say for 35 years.
There are times I don't go to work for like a month, sometimes 2 months, as long as the crisis lasts. But thank God for the kind of people I work with. They tend to understand with me. It's financially burdensome. Your work, if you don't have good people working with you, it affects that too. And some people, there are some instances where you lose a job.
I won't say it has been easy for with the siblings and him as well. Most times when we are on break and we get to witness him during the crisis, it is always heartbreaking and a tough one to see, to be honest.
There are many complementary remedies. So many people have tried different things. But we know, scientists, that the major cure for sickle cell is red cell transplant, bone marrow transplant. Go down and transplant the progenitor cells, okay, and transplant it so that they will now start producing the new cells, the newborn cells that carries oxygen better than the adult red cells. So that's the major achievement. The other complementary measures are just palliative. People have tried. Well, for scientifically, we have also used hydroxyurea, one of these medications.
And the stigma starts from home sometimes, right? That's from the family, and of course they will think you're different, and this brings about conflicts between. Sometimes they even say it's the woman's fault, right, for bringing forth a child with sickle cell. So there's this conflict between a household.
The stigma is still there. Now, what did you do now? Why didn't you do blood tests before you know? At the point you're telling somebody this is what's going on, it's not as if you've not actually blamed yourself for what happened enough, but they're still telling you you should have known better.
Someone has told me that if you die, you are not the only child. Okay, I don't know if you get the message that was made, but like you cry so much every time it's all about you, every time you're always sick and all that. And I didn't cause this for myself.
The first time that I told them that I was a sickle cell, but they didn't believe me until my mommy told them that I was actually a sickle cell. That's when they not believed me. They apologized for laughing, then they not started treating me nicely.
I've been in a relationship where the parent told the person I was going out with that they don't live longer. There's no hope in getting married to this person, and they wouldn't want their child to go into a short marriage.
Some of it are, let's start with our cultural and religious beliefs that this is not a genetic problem. They don't see it as a medical problem. They see it as spiritual in Africa. So these are the kind of things we want people to know, that this is a medical condition and can be managed. When you give birth to a child and the child is always falling sick, high fever, always crying and all that, automatically people will think that, okay, the child is possessed. Some people believe that it is contagious. Before all the medical interventions, children die before the age of 5, not because it's spiritual, but because there's lack of hospital care and proper drugs. But with hospital care and proper drugs now coming into play, there's a bit of improvement, and warriors can live to 90 years.
So the parents need to be educated that if their genotype does not match for to use at least AS or AA, they should not go ahead and marry.
I am still blessed. There's a lot of pain associated with it, but I'm still thankful. You know what I'm saying? I'm still grateful. I mean, regardless of everything, I still have someone who was able to kind of, damn the consequences and say, okay, yo, forget about what other girls have said. I'm going to marry you, regardless of what they've said. I'm going to take a risk on you. And she did. And I got married, and I have 2 kids.
For me, that helped me to build a lot of positivity. Because I've been surrounded by so many negativity. I just had to develop it. But then, you can be stronger than anything that is thrown at you by life. If you choose to be strong. If you let situation, you don't have to be a victim all the time.
For children with sickle cell, your life is still ahead of you. You can be anything in life. There is no limit to how far you can get to.
We can't talk about education reform if we don't decolonize our education system.
What we do not understand, we will stigmatize. Because it's just cultural. And I think it's just human nature.
They stop paying us salary. I don't like remembering it.
I am angry at Nigeria. I'm angry at this government which seems to be letting us down. I'm angry at us as a people.
In the process of struggling to free myself from his hand, he tore my pants and he raped me.
He said like, I'll give me a job that I'm too short, then I should go, but he did pay me, so that's why I can't sit down like that, so that my shoulder will be hungry.
Don't give up on yourself, don't give up on God, especially. If you give up on yourself, people will give up on you.
This is Plus TV Africa. Big stories live here.
What we do not understand, we will stigmatize.
What you can see is the remaining of the tanker that exploded.
The suspect equally confessed.
A 500 naira they collect am. You no talk.
Hello and thank you for joining us on Plus TV Africa News on the Hour. My name is Felicity Ezewike. The federal government says it will sustain efforts to make adjustments to new lifestyles and be sensitive to the security underpinnings as experts try to find vaccines for COVID-19 and a possible acceptable cure. A State House statement says President Buhari stated this at the AQABA process virtual meeting in Jordan. President Buhari said Nigeria developed a robust framework led by Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 to coordinate and oversee the country's multi-sectoral intergovernmental efforts at containing the spread and mitigating the impact of the disease. He said the government had also taken measures to tackle the devastation of social and economic dimensions of the pandemic with a focus on the most vulnerable citizens in the society through the provision of palliatives as well as other economic stimulus packages. The Federal Executive Council has approved 26.06 billion naira for the execution of projects in the Ministry of Works and Housing, Aviation and Justice. The sum of 11.74 billion naira was approved for the Ministry of Works and Housing for an emergency works and to complete work on the Gadam Zema Zuru Gamji Road in Kebbi State at the aggregated cost of 11.74 billion naira. The council approved 13,122 billion naira for the upgrade and the refurbishment of the safe tower equipment for Lagos, Kano, Abuja and Port Harcourt airports. Now, less than 24 hours after the increase in the depot price of premium motor spirit was announced, some filling stations in Lagos and Ogun State have adjusted their pump prices, selling the product at between 150 and 162 naira per litre. A visit round town shows several filling stations along the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. Fagbams sold a litre of petrol at 162 naira. NNPC 160 naira, and mobile 159.9 naira. And you sold the product at 159.9 naira. That's 159 naira, 9 kobo per litre. Capital Oil and Gas sold at 158 and Oando at 150. The pump price of PMS appeared set to hit 160 naira per litre as the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation increased the price at which it sells the product to marketers from 138 naira 62 kobo per litre to 147 naira 67 kobo per litre. The Nigeria Labour Congress (NLC) has rejected the hike in pump price of premium motor spirit as announced by the Petroleum Products Marketing Company of Nigeria. The NLC president, Comrade Ayuba Waba, who was reacting to the new hike in Abuja, expressed shock over the increase in the price of petroleum more than 3 times now within 3 months, when Nigerians are going through precarious times caused by coronavirus pandemic. He noted that the poor working class and the poor masses of Nigerians are the ones who would bear the brunt of the increase in petroleum and electricity, describing it as a betrayal of trust of Nigerians. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has faulted the increase in the electricity tariff, describing it as ill-timed. Atiku made this view known on the electricity tariff increase in a tweet on Thursday. He said the increment was a disregard for the challenges faced by Nigerians. Instead of a hike in electricity tariff, the former presidential candidate said Nigerians deserve a stimulus after the lockdown. Away from that, suspended chairman, University of Lagos Governing Council, Wali Babalakin, attended a session with a special visitation panel. He arrived at the venue of the panel, Unilag Council Chambers, around 8:50 a.m. Likewise, all the unions of Unilag, including Academic Staff Union of Universities, the Senior Staff Association of Nigerian Universities, the National Association of Academic Technologists, and the Non-Academic Staff Union, appeared before the visitation panel by 2 p.m. The federal government had directed Babalankin and the Vice-Chancellor, Professor Oluwatoyin Ogundipe, to recuse themselves from official duties pending the outcome of the investigation by the special visitation panel. The Defense Headquarters says troops of Operation Accord on Wednesday killed 4 suspected bandits in an encounter at Jekade Rabi area of Kaduna State along Kaduna-Abuja Expressway. Coordinator Defense Media Operations, Major General John Eneche, disclosed this in a statement on Thursday. He said the troops mobilized to the area and laid ambush following credible intelligence on the movement of bandits from Kachia area. According to him, the troops made contact with the bandits and killed 4, while others escaped with gunshots wound. At least 2 security operatives and 1 civilian have reportedly been killed in Kagara, Rafi local government area of Niger State following an attack by bandits. The report says many have fled their homes for nearby bushes due to Wednesday's attack on a commercial bank and other places. An eyewitness told journalists that the bandits, who shot sporadically, came on over 30 motorbikes, leaving many injured, and abducted some during the operation. The assailants also robbed residents of their belongings, such as mobile phones, money, and other valuable items. Still in the news, the First Lady Aisha Buhari has condemned the abduction of a senior registrar in the Department of Pediatrics and Child Health at the University of Calabar Teaching Hospital, Dr. Vivian Otu, on Friday by gunmen. In a statement by the Minister of Women Affairs, Pauline Talon, the First Lady described the act as an abominable one which has threatened to disrupt the already fragile health system in the country. According to the statement, Nigerian women stand in solidarity with her family, friends and well-wishers and called on the abductors to unconditionally release her. The Maiduguri Zonal Office of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, said it had rearranged the Chief Executive Officer of Complete Care and Aid Foundation, Aisha Akali Wakil, popularly known as Mama Boko Haram. Mama Boko Haram was said to have been rearraigned on Tuesday before Justice Aisha Kumaliya of the Borno State High Court in Maiduguri on amended 4 counts bordering on conspiracy, giving false information and cheating to the tune of 6 million naira. At a sitting, Prosecution Counsel Mokhtar Ali Ahmed informed the court of a pending amended charge and urged the court to strike out the earlier charges filed on March 3 and 10, 2020 and substituted with that of March 18, 2020. A statement on Wednesday by the head media and publicity of the EFCC, Dele Oyewale, indicated that Justice Kumaliya substituted the charges and ordered them to be read to the defendants. They pleaded not guilty, following which counsel to the second and third defendants, H. Waziri, prayed the court for an adjournment to enable him to study the new charges with a view to applying for a plea bargain agreement with the EFCC. Consequently, Justice Kumaliya adjourned the matter till September 16 for commencement of trial. Mama Boko Haram was originally arraigned alongside the program manager of her foundation, Tahiru Daura, and the country director, Lawal Shoyode, on December 4, 2019. Their trial followed their no guilty plea to the charges. We go to Edo State, where the Oba of Benin II has asked the leaders of the People's Democratic Party, the PDP, and the All Progressive Congress, APC, to emulate ex-President Goodluck Jonathan, who congratulated President Muhammadu Buhari after losing the 2015 polls. The monarch gave the charge on Wednesday during a meeting he had with the leading candidates ahead of the September 19 governorship election in the state.
People of Edo State will be going to poll to elect their governor for the next 4 years. One disturbing trend is the high scale of violence that has characterized the build-up to the election. Speaking during the meeting, the revered traditional ruler expressed his displeasure over the attitude of some politicians, saying he is unhappy that the state has been in the news for the wrong reasons and that the election should not be a do-or-die affair.
I will hold him responsible too. If he doesn't use his statesmanship status, elder statesmanship status, to bring peace and eradicate, stop this violence, stop shooting. You can campaign quietly. Please. You can see how much energy we have used to appeal. And it's worth it. Because we want to surprise everybody else that is thinking that those states is going to burn down. Why should those states burn down? Those states should be quiet.
PDP candidate and incumbent governor Godwin Obaseki, APC flag bearer Osage Ize-Iyamu, ex-APC national chairman and former governor of the state Adams Oshomole, Chief John Odigi Oyegu, among others, were in attendance.
Sworn to an oath to preserve the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I have sworn to protect the lives and property of the people I govern.
I want to assure our Father and all those present that we on our part pledge to ensure from our supporters, our followers, that they conduct themselves peacefully throughout the campaign and during the election.
My record speaks for me. I didn't need any human being to win the election twice. So I'm a CBC person. If I didn't promote violence for myself, I cannot possibly promote violence for another person.
An ADC gubernatorial candidate and some other Edo indigents lauded the initiative of the Oba.
Election is not a do-or-die affair. The way it is supposed to be done, as I keep saying all the time, The minute you decide to be a politician, you are the servant of the people. And ADC recognizes that. I do recognize that.
Royal Majesty have done well enough to advise all the candidates in this election. And I can tell you that today, that history has been made in Edo State, and that history will continue.
The purpose of being here today is to actually seek for peace from the Oba. And the Oba has assured us and prayed for us and make sure that this election coming September 19 is going to be peaceful.
As governorship election in Edo State is forthcoming, analysts say the electorate must be allowed to cast their votes peacefully and not under threat of violence. Hence, the fate of any of these political parties winning is dependent on the choice of Edo indigents.
Thank you, Aneta, for that report. Osun State residents have been charged to dispose of their waste through registered waste collectors and shun indiscriminate dumping of refuse into waterways. The state governor, Gboyega Oyetola, gave the charge during an inspection of the ongoing dredging activities at different waterways in the state. Oyetola said the state will continue to be proactive in efforts to mitigate flooding in all areas. Special advisor to the governor on public health stated that the dredging is key to preventing spillage of disease-causing waste and harmful pollution that could pose threat to public health.
We've done that to ensure that we do not experience flooding. Ordinarily, on a routine basis, we look at our streams and do proper dredging in anticipation of heavy downpour. What I've seen here gives me the comfort that we should not be thinking of any flooding around this axis. This is not limited, what we're doing is not limited to this place. We're doing the dredging of all the streams, major streams, where they call flashpoints.
What we are doing is just to clear the way, dredging the place for a free flow. All the waterways and inlets, they collect here and drain into that place.
We want to appeal to our people at home to desist from act of indiscriminate dumping of refuse into waterways, into rivers and canals, because what do we have? Blockages of these waterways, channels, drainages, including the access covert. When this happens, there will be serious flood.
If there is flooding, there is likelihood of having spillage of disease-causing waste all around, which can culminate into public health challenge. It is part of his proactiveness to making sure that lives and properties are secured, and more importantly, as far as public health is concerned, it is also helping improving our public health indices in the state.
You're watching the news on Plus TV Africa. We're going on a short break, and when we come back, stories from other parts of Africa. Do stay with us.
Quality wire, and quality cables. For quality wire, quality cables. Coleman will light up your life, brothers. It's original quality wire. Where they can't pay. Cable for any type of project. Light up your life, light up your house. Coleman won't light up your life, Coleman, see, who be the master for cable? Coleman, who be the master for wire? Coleman, original quality cable. When you feature for any kind of project, Coleman, original quality, durable, trustable, Coleman, Coleman.
The World Health Organization, WHO, says 76 rich nations are now committed to joining a global COVID-19 vaccine allocation plan co-led by the WHO that aims to help buy and fairly distribute the shots. The United States, however, said it would not join the effort called COVAX due to President Donald Trump's administration's objection to WHO involvement. COVAX aims to procure and deliver 2 billion doses of approved vaccines by the end of 2021. It currently has 9 COVID-19 vaccine candidates in its portfolio, employing a range of different technologies and scientific approaches. A handful are already in late-stage clinical trials and could have data available by year-end. Russia has resumed international flights with Egypt, the United Arab Emirates and the Maldives. The government says it had authorized 3 flights a week to Cairo, as well as 2 flights a week to Dubai and to the Maldives, Velana International Airport. Russia halted all regular and charter international flights with other countries at the end of March in the wake of the coronavirus outbreak worldwide, allowing only repatriation trips. The decision was reviewed in August, and the country resumed flights to Great Britain, Tanzania, Turkey and Switzerland in accordance with a number of criteria determined by the Russian Anti-Coronavirus Crisis Center. We go to Egypt, where we understand have signed a $2 billion conventional and Islamic loan with several international and regional banks in a deal coordinated by 2 UAE lenders, Emirates NBD Capital and First Abu Dhabi Bank, were joint coordinators and lead managers of the deal. The loan aims at financing the state budget and supporting the Egyptian economy in order to maintain its strong part in the face of fluctuations prevailing in global markets. A parliamentary document obtained showed Egypt initialized the deal with Emirates NBD and FAD in July 20 to obtain a 1-year, $2 billion loan in 2 tranches to close the gap in its 2020-21 budget brought by COVID-19 pandemic. And on the foreign scene, U.S. President Donald Trump has suggested that voters in the state of North Carolina should vote twice in the November election, once by vote and once by mail, to make sure their vote was counted. Voting more than once in an election is illegal. Activists raised concern over Trump's remarks, saying that he suggested was in violation of law and urged the public not to listen to his suggestion. U.S. Attorney General William Barr says that mail-in ballots for November 3 election could be vulnerable to fraud, echoing an argument Trump has made to denounce the use of voting by mail. And Malaysia has added at least 9 more countries, including the United States, Britain and France, to its list of long-term immigration pass holders to be barred from the country. Malaysia's government said it would from September 7 bar entry of pass holders from India, Indonesia and the Philippines in a bid to curtail imported coronavirus cases in Southeast Asia's 3rd largest economy. The ban will now include all countries that have reported more than 150,000 coronavirus cases. Malaysia, which has reported just 9,374 COVID-19 cases and 128 deaths as of Thursday, has banned tourists and business travelers from entering the country since March. Still ahead is business news. A fire that broke out on a fully loaded super tanker off the east coast of Sri Lanka has been brought under control, adding that one of its 23 crew was injured. The New Diamond, a very large crude carrier chartered by Indian Oil Corps, was carrying the equivalent of about 2 million barrels of oil. Refinitiv data showed it was headed for the Indian port of Paradip, where the state-run firm operates a 300,000 barrel per day refinery. A Sri Lankan Navy official said there is no damage to the cargo area, only the engine room and some areas around it. There were 23 crew on board, and 1 injured crew member was being brought to land on a Navy vessel. Britain says it was investing to develop rapid COVID-19 tests with a view to soon roll out widespread systemic testing to pick up outbreaks early amid criticism over backlogs in its current testing system. The Health Ministry said it would put £500 million into trials of rapid COVID-19 tests and interpopulation testing for the disease. Health Minister Matt Hancock said he hopes mass testing using faster COVID-19 tests can be rolled out towards the end of the year, adding that they are key to restoring freedoms after months of COVID-19 restrictions.
It's one of the biggest testing systems in the world. And but of course, I constantly want to improve it. And that's why this morning we've announced £500 million, £500 million of investment into the new generation of tests. Because whilst the testing system that we have at the moment is one of the biggest, I want to firstly make it much bigger, but also simpler for people. But I also want to solve the problem by having the next generation of tests at a radically bigger scale. And you can do that. You can't do that on the current technology very easily. We can keep expanding it, and we are. But I want to get to the point where we have this new generation where you don't have to send the thing off to the lab, and instead, effectively, the lab is in the back of a van and can go to the people who need the test, exactly as your viewers are saying.
And in entertainment, Prince Harry and Meghan, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, have signed a multi-year deal with bosses of Netflix to produce content for the streaming service. After officially stepping back as senior members of the British royal family earlier this year, the couple has turned to TV in America, creating a yet-to-be-named production company. Netflix executives will pay the pair an unspecified amount to develop documentaries, docuseries, feature films, scripted shows and children's programming exclusively for the platform. According to the couple, making inspirational family programming is also important to them. Congratulations to the couple, and that's how we round things up at this hour. For more news updates, please follow us at Plus TV Africa on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel at Plus TV Africa. We'll be back later with more stories making the headlines. Please join us again. Thank you for your time.
Welcome to Ladies Talking Business on Plus TV Africa. I am your host, Anita Felix, and with me is my co-host, Moremi Akano.
On today's episode, we will be talking about Forex trading.
We have nations of the world, they trade Forex. We have CBNs of nations, they trade Forex. The super rich and their children.
How much can I start with?
When it comes to Forex, you can start wherever you are, whatever your capacity is. Some brokers will even take as little as $5 from you. You can take that to the bank. It teaches you the act of money multiplication. The more money you use to trade, the more money you make. Then the second thing again is your risk management parameters. We call it lot sizes. I don't really like talking about making a lot of money in Forex, especially when I'm talking to somebody that hasn't done this before. A lot of people have a misconception when it comes to Forex. They see it as something that they enter today and tomorrow they begin to make $1,000. It does not work that way.
For upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Buki November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
Plus TV Africa is a news television station that prides itself in presenting to our audience the unbundling of big stories that impact the lives of Africans at home within the continent and those in diaspora.
I'm on the field and ready for you.
Okay.
Vibration and a sudden explosion.
have to think big, but you have to start small.
I want to encourage you to wear a mask wherever you go.
We use some of the best technology to create the kind of content that millennials love to watch. We unbundle the kind of stories that impact their lives and they are happy to learn from. This is where big stories live.
3, 2, 1,
Thank you for joining us in Plus TV Africa News.
Welcome to Tea Time on Plus TV Africa, where we bring you the biggest entertainment stories and, of course, analyze them for you.
You can have both parents and still end up as a useless child. I see them every day.
Most times I worry more about where I'm coming from and where I am now, and that determines my next step.
Why are you sounding like an
Alibaba
now?
Plus TV Africa, we're feeling good. No time to dull, everybody feeling alright.
I really like you.
I can still make music and people are still buying. Sometimes I look myself minimal IU.
Akpala music is for mature-minded people. I got DMs sometimes from Malawi, like,
Sleeping early.
Congratulations, you beat coronavirus hands down.
Yes, I did.
The problem is when people lose confidence in governments, it becomes very serious in emergencies like this.
To all citizens, stay at home in the areas under lockdown.
I never jumped since yesterday. Now ball I dey play. Today make myself very happy. For this country, what's in the happen gone?
They say they share money.
I
did go check my ATM every day, I don't see anything there.
That this is indeed the most challenging crisis we have faced since the Second World War.
A week ago, Mother Rica declared a state of national disaster.
All things cannot take work.
When you come out of prison, you will not go back.
That's a challenge at the moment.
We have had 100% recovery.
The virus where they talk about say hungry big pass up. Understand? No virus where big pass hungry.
Plus TV Africa.
Plus TV Africa.
Big stories live here.
we can't talk about education reform if we don't decolonize our education system.
What we do not understand, we will stigmatize. Because it's just cultural. And I think it's just human nature.
They stop paying us salary. I don't like remembering it.
I am angry at Nigeria. I'm angry at this government which seems to be letting us down. I am angry at us as a people.
In the process of struggling to free myself from his hand, he tore my pants and he raped me.
He said like, I'll give me a job that I'm too short. Then I should go, but he still pay me. So that's why I can't sit down like that. So that my children will be hungry.
Don't give up on yourself. Don't give up on God. Especially if you give up on yourself, people will give up on you.
This is Plus TV Africa. Big stories live here.
Welcome to another episode of Tea Time, and thank you for watching. My name is Elsie Godwin, and of course on this program we analyze the biggest intimate stories. I've got my co-anchor with me, Ife Oluwa-Oshinke.
What up?
Hi.
A field day.
Well, yeah, an interesting day
Very
actually.
interesting,
Like
yeah.
my mind was on the last conversation, and I remembered, an interesting day. I wish I can spill the tea, We're trying to be the bigger person, yeah.
That pun intended, actually, bigger person.
Yeah.
True.
Okay. Moving on to the conversation for this episode. President Muhammadu Buhari approves November 1st as National Youth Day in Nigeria. Minister of Youth and Sports Development, Sunday Dare, made the announcement via Twitter. The National Youth Day will be a day to celebrate youths, draw attention to, and find solutions to the issues that affect the youth. He went on to say Mr. President has again demonstrated his commitment to supporting youth-focused policies.
Okay, so I saw this, I was impressed. I said, finally, we're beginning to have a voice. People are beginning to notice the youths. People are beginning to take us seriously. People are beginning to talk about what we do. People are beginning to have interest in our initiative. People are beginning to have interest in our ideas. And I now saw the part of 75 billion naira budget.
That's not news now. Remember the essay to the Minister of Youth was on Tea Time and she talked about
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, and I remember that. So, but another thing that got me worried is that, look, even as bad as Big Brother, I said as bad, sorry, my bad, as little as Big Brother, before they call out the result, they will tell you that this was put together by so-so company. They will tell you the people who accumulated the vote and all of that. But in this case, I was expecting to see there's a 75 billion and there is a body that has been appointed and this person is, and they will account for every kobo. I did not see anywhere where accountability.
Don't kill a man before he's buried.
No, then the man shouldn't come and die before I understand his death.
The 75 billion has not even started being disbursed yet. I think the opening is supposed to start in October or this month, I'm not quite sure, but it's not started yet. And that's the one she was saying, go to noya.ng to get information.
No
that's
doubt.
noya.ng.
No doubt.
So the entry, yes, the funds are going to be made available, but people have not started applying for it yet. So I think when the process starts, that you know the body that is recruiting,
the body you can visit the website.
Yeah, so visit the website and find out.
You know, this is the problem. We make a lot of excuses for a lot of people, and which is the reason why we do not get transparency, because we do not expect it.
If this was another talk about other projects maybe that have been executed, you know, maybe that's what I'm saying, don't bury a man before the man is dead.
But you know, let us start burying them and holding them accountable so that they can know that we are serious about
just
accountability.
Ask questions and not accuse them of not doing what is not gotten to the time when they are supposed to do it anyways, you know. That's what I'm saying.
Well, that's fine. I understand where you're coming from.
Did you see the news of the 774,000 jobs, the controversy ongoing on that one as well?
And I'm wondering, but at the end of the day, we need to talk about accountability. We need to be more transparent with our funds. We've seen a lot of money that has been put into things that we did not see the effect or would not see the impact of those things. I'm just hoping that this is not one of those things that we will have. We have a lot of youths in this country. I think it's even dominated by youths, and then you're now going to tell me that 10 to 100 people get the benefit of this initiative, and then you feel like you've done your job out of 75 billion. Were you giving out? Do you understand?
I'm just being very optimistic about this one. I remember you asked her the same question on that day. Yeah. She said that one of the measures they're going to put in place is to ensure that the money leaves the coffers of the government straight to the entrepreneurs who win. I know that doesn't really rule out any shadiness, right? But I mean, I'm hoping that there would be measures put in place to ensure that the funds gets to the right people, because 75 billion is not 75 million.
It's not even 75 naira. You're going as far as it's not 75,000.
So I'm hopeful.
75,000 can change someone's life.
This National Youth Day, according to the Minister of Youth and Sport Development, is supposed to be that day where youths would I mean, you can come around and talk about what worries you on every sector, from entertainment to judiciary to politics to sports to, I mean, every area that affects you. We can have that conversation and be sure that, yes, since you've called it the National Youth Day, you should be tuned in on every platform to be able to listen to what these people are going to cry out about or commend you for or expect from you. So I think it's a welcome development. I'm hoping that from this 1st of November, all platforms and all youth with voice would champion the right conversation and not just try to point fingers. Yeah, just have conversations that are critical and fact driven.
Thank you for bringing that up, because I've had a few conversations with a few people, and I would say, okay, so what are some of the challenges you think the youths in Nigeria are facing? And they all keep saying, the government, bad leadership. But no, that's not what we want to hear right now. Now, we don't expect you to come out. Let us come out with brilliant ideas, which is why I think the youth should also send in a message to 0906000
5719. You're getting better.
Right. So just send in your thoughts on what you think, what initiatives should be put in place for the youth, since we now have the attention of President Muhammadu Buhari.
Okay, moving on to the next story. Rihanna becomes first female American artist to earn 8 platinum studio albums. She has also won 9 Grammy Awards and 8 Billboard Music Awards throughout her career. So, shout out to the queen. People are still dragging her for not releasing music, but she keeps winning.
But guess what? I'm now beginning to think, I think this was the plan. Because if you don't get an album for somebody, right, you won't stop listening and stop streaming and stop buying the old ones. Now, could this be part? I don't know. I'm just saying. I'm not beginning to think that.
This rugged man will have a Grammys as well. Now, what's that? That's
you have to just drag rugged.
No, it's not just. I'm just saying that was the name that could come to mind because I before we came on, I watched a clip of him talking. I think I watched on your page where he was talking about SARS and all that, the campaign. So he was in my mind. So it's not a shade or anything. But I don't think it works like that. That's what I'm trying to say.
Well, I'm just saying that maybe, just maybe, that's what the plan has always been, so that you guys can keep buying till they all get to platinum, because it's a funny coincidence that the
just
8 of them.
Congratulate a woman that has done good.
Oh yes, I know. I'm very happy. You know, I've been Rihanna, with whom I am well pleased. Don't judge. I'm not dragging with you. I'm not dragging with Don Jazzy in any shape or form. But for the people who have been saying it, I just want you to know that sometimes consistency matters, but at the end of the day, if other people decide that I want to use my platform to focus on other things, then
things that matter as well.
Yeah, things that matter. Fashion is very important. Fenty is no joke. It's helping.
Don't forget her philanthropical part, which is what I'm talking about.
And big shout out to Rihanna for still winning regardless. 9 Grammy Award, 8 Billboard Award, 9 Platinum. Oh, come on.
It's platinum. Okay. Anyway, tea time continues right after this break.
Hey, chakalaka chepache, koshira koshara. This is Bayu, and you're watching Tea Time on Plus TV Africa.
Honey!
Daddy, please, can I go out with you and Mommy tonight?
Sure thing, sweetie. Get your shoes and we go.
Promise?
You have my word.
Daddy!
You know I wouldn't leave without you, my princess.
Stay safe. Maintain social distance. We are Fidelity. We keep our word.
Here are the things to do to avoid getting or spreading the coronavirus. Always wash your hands thoroughly with soap and water. Carry with you and use an alcohol-based hand sanitizer at all times. Avoid touching your face unnecessarily. When you cough or sneeze, do so in a bent elbow and not in your hands. If you cough or sneeze on a tissue, dispose immediately. Endeavor to wear a face mask when you go out. Dispose of the face mask properly after use. Should you feel unwell and show symptoms, call the NCDC and follow their instructions. Stay safe. Maintain social distance. Fidelity cares about you.
Welcome back. This is still Tea Time on Plus TV Africa. Nigerian dancehall artist Patoranking, during an interview, has revealed that the environment he grew up inspires his music. According to him, quotes, Abule simply means hood or ghetto. So when making a song, all I do is just have a reflection about where I'm from or where I come from, and then I write. I was thinking about the party life in the ghetto, how we party, how it is, the things that happen there, end of quote.
Because you wait for Abule. But Abule to me was a village, though. I always thought Abule was a village and not a ghetto.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but I mean, everywhere is somebody's village. I hope you know that.
Yeah,
even
that.
This position, this location is somebody's village. Or somebody's hometown. Maybe that's the right word.
Oh, this location. I thought you were talking about where we are seated. No. Victoria Island, of course. There are people from Lagos Island, and yes, of course, there are people like that. But I like how Patoranking said it. But in this case, I felt like he was just talking about one song, Abule, you get. But if you know Patoranking's story, because this is somebody who has history in Ghana, and he also, no, I don't know, I didn't see him, I can't confirm this, but it's been rumored that he was also a mason. He was a bricklayer, you know, assisting and all of that, doing menial jobs and stuff like that. So you would know that this is somebody who has a grass to grace story. So it's a good reflection in his music too. And I've listened to this album 3. It's a solid album, very well put together, nothing short of what Patoranking. And I think Patoranking is one of those underrated artists as well, because since Patoranking came into the scene, I don't think I've heard any bad song from him. Even though it may not be my style of music, but it is a song that would become a banger at the end of the day. Or you go to the club or you go to public spaces and they are playing that song. I may necessarily not download it or buy it, but I can vibe to it. And I think he's one of those people that are really, really, really underrated, that they've really done well for themselves, from where they came from to where they are now. And I think it's a proper success story. And I'm very proud of him, from someone who came from the ghetto to who he is now, you know, owns several exotic cars and stuff.
Wow, okay. So, but then me, I will confess, I haven't sat down to listen to Patoranking's album. I don't know why. Maybe I would give it a try after the show. But his singles that have blown, that's the word, yeah, I usually love them. So I don't know why I haven't had that urge to say, okay, let me just put Patoranking on my Play Store or whatever and just listen. I haven't done that, so I think I'll do that. But yeah, you know, based on the things I have listened, the ones I have listened to, the singles that gets on radio and clubs or wherever, I mean, they are really bangers and I enjoy them. So he's doing something good, and if that's where his inspiration comes from, then maybe once in a while he really should go back to that.
Ghanaians are not really happy with me right now, but I still have to say something else. A lot of people feel like, in as much as Sarkodie was popular in Nigeria, Patoranking also gave him an additional popularity with No Kissing Baby and No Touching Baby, because that was the song.
Sarkodie was already big.
No, he was already big as at that time, but they feel like it's an argument that's on social media.
Yeah, and it's an argument we are having now. Okay, a conversation we're having now. I do not believe that Patoranking gave any form of relevance to Sarkodie.
But with that song, did you like that song?
Yeah, of course I did. They came together, and I think one of the reason I also wanted to listen to that song was hearing that Sarkodie was on it. I've always been a fan of Sarkodie. So before Patoranking even, you know, became Patoranking. So yes, it was two amazing artists that came together to give us an amazing song, which is what I felt. You know, when we're talking about the collaboration between Kiss Daniel and Adekunle Gold, when I said I did not get that first effect that met my expectation that I got from Davido and Kiss Daniel, and which I also got from this collaboration I'm talking about now, Patoranking and Sarkodie. Of course, the song has grown on me. I love the song Kiss Daniel and Adekunle have now, but I didn't get that. You know,
of course, initial,
yeah. So I mean, they are great artists. I won't. My Sarkodie, don't try.
No, but think about it. Think about it. Of all the collaborations that Sarkodie has had with a Nigerian artist, isn't Kissing Baby your best, your favorite?
I'll have to really go back to check. Because I love his singles anyway. I don't care.
No, Sarkodie is an amazing artist. We're not taking that. No, I'm just saying of all the collaborations.
Okay, name names. Maybe that will jiggle my mind.
Name names.
No,
I don't want to call people before. No, I don't want to call.
But I just mentioned names now, fam.
Sarkodie and Pato ranking is a big one for me. That's all I want to say. I don't want to upset any Ghanaian for that. Before people will ban me from coming to my second country.
Were you asking if that's not the best Nigerian-Ghanaian collaboration, or you're saying collaboration for
Sarkodie and a Nigerian artist? I think he complemented the Nigerian.
Come for you for that one. Just mention others
let's just
remember
move on,
and
please.
think.
Please, they don't love me in Ghana already, which is my second home. Do you want them to hate me in my own country again? Let us just move on.
Okay. Moving on to the next story, which I find really funny. Future is to pay his baby mama $3,200 in monthly child support after the judge rejected her $53,000 request. And this is monthly, fam. Yeah.
I think this baby mama Osula has become a proper Osulo.
Like
you need to start having CV now. Say there has to be a curriculum vitae for.
I love this picture for this conversation, man. $53,000.
Like 53K is a lot of money for you to say a man should. But I like what Future's lawyer did immediately. Except Baba doesn't earn more than $30,000, something that is not even enough for his drink in the club. They said that's how much he earns monthly. So why are you going to be asking for 53,000, which makes a whole lot of sense. So I think law is how you're able to argue and how you're able to convince people into what you want them to believe.
I actually started punching my calculator, converting to that. I think that was the worst decision I made yesterday. I was wondering, okay, what kind of golden baby food is this baby going to be taking? Like, what kind of apartment are you going to put the baby?
I think it comes with a sense of entitlement that a lot of women have. Like, okay, you're in a relationship with a certain person. It didn't work out. You don't want to be with this person anymore. You people share a child. You both share a child together, and then suddenly you want to continue living that same life.
But if you have defended this for some people and said, yeah, they need to keep up. I'm trying to remember the person you actually expressly defended to say they have to keep up the lifestyle, so that's why they're asking for the money. So what's the difference?
They have to keep up with the lifestyle, but it is not a sense of you are not entitled. I think it was Sophia Momodu I was talking about.
No, that was recent. The conversation I'm talking about is very recent. But I mean, for me, I agree to paying child support. I mean, it's
okay, but it's not
very important to pay child support. But having to now make it like you now have an oil well in Delta State. I mean, trying to make that kind of income from that is just ridiculous. So it's not like you are even in a form of relationship with this person that was so strong that you can prove his finances to say, I know you're getting money from this place, I know you're getting money from this place. Apparently you don't have those details, because if you did, you'll probably not be given $2,000. That's assuming the lawyers just decided to cook up something to get him off the hook. You get what I'm saying? So if you don't have that kind of strong relationship with that kind of person, then maybe you should just focus on getting the basic things for your child and ensuring that your child gets all they deserve or all they need to survive, and then go out there to work. I mean, being a baby mama doesn't turn you handicapped. It doesn't make you, so that's how I feel about it. I think $53,000 was just way too much for Future. I mean, he has how many other baby mamas he needs to take care of? So all those things will have to come into play as well to say, how much does he earn? How much is he going to give this other child? And this is just like a man that has 10 children, and you are saying one child, you want the child to go to the best schools in Nigeria, go to the best days everywhere. You also have to consider other child. Can he afford that for every other child? Because he can't be seen to be playing favoritism at the end of the day. Yeah. So I mean, I don't know what she had in mind when she decided to ask for $53,000, but thank God she's getting 2,000.
3,000.
2,000.
You say 3,000, 2,000. The money wants to scatter your head.
She's getting something. Anyway, moving on to the next story. Beyonce donates $1 million to black-owned small businesses in America. In an official statement from the Twitter page of Beyonce's charity organization known as Begood, it says the American civil rights organization known as National Association for the Advancement of Colored People is the official partner for this initiative.
I wish Before Omar was on this table. I really wish so.
Why?
Because I think I don't know. I may be wrong. Go before you come for me when you come back.
She'll respond to you next episode.
But I think she would also say that for you to be this is based on our belief of cultural appropriation, right? That she would believe that why are you not investing in small businesses in Africa as well? If you also say you're so
you're speaking for a film, man.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess I'm not saying this affirmatively. If I can come and say no, brother, they didn't do nothing wrong. So I don't know about that, but in my opinion, I think that when we're talking about Africans, and then you've benefited a lot from the African culture as well, it's only right you give back. And this is the first time I think I'm beginning to understand where Ife Omaya has been coming from all along. That saying,
but then she's giving back to people's great grandchildren now. Claude,
you were the same person who pointed out that we have Africans living in the diaspora, we have Africans, and we have African Americans, right? So she's giving to African Americans. What happened to the other two sects?
She said all of us are from the same ancestors.
We shall have the same color.
Yeah, so it's our brothers and sisters, our businesses is taking care of them. But kudos to Beyonce. She's always in the news. Aside from when people are dragging her, she's always in the news for either pushing her out an amazing art that she's.
I think people drag themselves. They don't drag her necessarily.
They actually do. Or she's doing something to better people's lives. We saw that when the pandemic was so much that she went out with of course Big Good as well and other partners, where they went out to test people, help them ensure that they're okay,
she's doing well.
Educate them and all. And this is another one in the space of, I think, in less than 5 months. So shout out to Beyonce.
And it says stage 2, so we're probably expecting stage 3 and even more. So big shout out to Big Good, and they're actually doing very well. I appreciate it.
I think if we have a lot more people like this in the world, then maybe, which is I think is very impossible, or maybe wealth can be circulated to a certain degree. But
we must have the poor and we must have the rich in every table.
Definitely. Okay, I'm glad I will be part of the rich. Amen.
You will. So, I'm
not rich yet, fam.
Don't be selfish by saying I will. Can't you say I'm glad we will?
Your mouth?
So you can't pray for me.
But that's your own.
I'm glad we will be part of the rich.
Oh, such a sweet
I'm
boy.
the bigger person.
Okay, that was an in-house joke, but that's how we wrap up this episode of Tea Time. Thank you for watching, and please do send your opinions via WhatsApp to 09060005719. Also, do not forget what Ife mentioned earlier regarding sending your opinions regarding the National Youth Day, which is coming up November 1st. So please tweet at us, send your opinions, whatever you want us to discuss on that day, to 09060005719. My thank you as always to go to my co-anchor Ife Oluwa-Oshunkeye, and of course the entire production team. My name remains Elsie Godwin. Please do stay safe.
Plus TV Africa is a news television station that prides itself in presenting to our audience the unbundling of big stories that impact the lives of Africans at home within the continent and those in diaspora.
I'm on the field and ready for you.
Okay. Vibration and a sudden explosion.
You have to think big, but you have to start small.
I want to encourage you to wear a mask wherever you go.
We use some of the best technology to create the kind of content that millennials love to watch. We unbundle the kind of stories that impact their lives and they are happy to learn from. This is where big stories live.
3, 2, 1, Thank you for joining us in Plus TV Africa News.
A lot of the jobs that exist today will not exist in the next 10 years.
10 years.
When I see people today shouting, we're not too young to run, we are ready to run. Ready to run to where?
The people of excellence are, to a certain extent, being held ransom by idiots and bandits.
Once you are in government, you believe everything you do is right. And once you are in opposition, everything the government does is wrong.
And so it's time for us to take over power.
Welcome to Ladies Talking Business on Plus TV Africa. I am your host, Anita Felix, and with me is my co-host, Moremi Akano.
On today's episode, we will be talking about Forex trading.
We have nations of the world, they trade Forex. We have CBNs of nations, they trade Forex. The super rich and their children.
How much can I start with?
When it comes to Forex, you can start wherever you are, whatever your capacity is. Some brokers will even take as little as $5 from you. You can take that to the bank. It teaches you the act of money multiplication. The more money you use to trade, the more money you make. Then the second thing again is your risk management parameters. We call it lot sizes. I don't really like talking about making a lot of money in Forex, especially when I'm talking to somebody that hasn't done this before. A lot of people have a misconception when it comes to Forex. They see it as something that they enter today and tomorrow they begin to make $1,000. It does not work that way.
It is engagement we need to have.
Those who suffer miscarriages are never taken into account.
Members of the National Assembly are also influence peddlers.
You are sitting on Nigerians' money.
From the barbing, I pay my rent. From the barbing, I send my children to school.
A consultative engagement.
No any tangible notification before they ban us.
It's one thing for people to be at your back and the heat of the moment, and another thing for them to still be with you when push comes to shove.
I will do everything to take Lagos out of the national grid.
Congratulations, you beat coronavirus hands down.
Yes, I did.
The problem is when people lose confidence in governments, it becomes very serious in emergencies like this.
To all citizens, stay at home in the areas under lockdown.
I never jumped since yesterday. Now ball I dey play. To dey make myself dey happy. For this country, wetin dey happen gan? They say they share money.
And yes, so my country people, you do well, so you join us inside news on the hour for Plus TV Africa. And it's not the Coco Bang Bang Tori we want some give on until this very o'clock as it is hot. My name na Destiny Momo. And yes, so the federal government, Yan say they go sustain efforts to make adjustment to new lifestyles, and then go still they very sensitive to the security underpinnings. And as experts, they try to find the vaccines for COVID-19 and possible acceptable cure. One State House statement, Yan say President Buhari Yan for Akaba process online meeting for the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan. And even said President Buhari Yan say Obodo Nigeria develop one heavy framework with it led by Presidential Task Force on top COVID-19 to take coordinate plus oversee the country multi-sectoral intergovernmental efforts to contain the spread and to mitigate the impact of the disease. And in Samayan say the government don't take measures to tackle the devastation of the social plus economic dimension of the pandemic, and then go still chook eye for the most vulnerable citizens for the society through the provide of palliative plus other economic stimulus package. And even so, the Federal Executive Council, they don't approve 26.06 billion naira for the execution of a project for the Ministries of Works and Housing, Aviation plus Justice. The sum of 11.74 billion naira been they approved for the Ministry of Works and Housing for one emergency work to take complete work for the Gadan Zaima Zuru Gamji Road inside Kebbi State for aggregate cost of 11.74 billion naira. The council will approve 13.122 billion naira for the upgrade plus the refurbish of the safe tower equipment for Lagos, Kanu, Abuja plus Port Harcourt Airport. And even less than 24 hours after the increase of the depot price of a premium motor spirit, where they call petrol, been they announced some filling station for Lagos and Ogun State. They don't already adjust their pump price, and now then they sell the product between 150 naira to 162 naira per litre. And one visit around town, they show plenty filling station along the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, fat beams. Then they sell 1 litre of petrol for 162 naira, NNPC 160 naira. and Mobil 159.9 naira. And Enyo, then they sell the product for 159.9 naira per litre, Capital Oil and Gas 158 naira, and Oando 150 naira. The pump price of PMS appears say it don't set to hit 160 naira per litre. As the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, they don't increase the price and we sell the product to marketers from 138.62 naira per litre to 147.67 naira per litre. And even Obodo Nigeria Labour Congress, they don't reject the high price, inside pump price of a premium motor spirit petrol as it take day announced by the Petroleum and Products Marketing Company of Obodo Nigeria. NLC President Comrade Ayuba Waba we been they react to the new high price for Abuja in the express shock on top of the increase for the price of petrol and more than 3 times now inside the 3 months when Nigerians they go through this kind of bad time and where coronavirus pandemic costs. And in they still the yarn say the poor working class and the poor masses of Nigerians now the ones where they bear this badness for the increase for petroleum and electricity price, and we then describe them saying a betrayal of trust to Nigerians. And even a former Vice President Atiku Abubakar in don't see fault for the increase for electric money, and they describe and say it no be the right time for this badness. And Atiku making view on top the electric tariff increase known for tweets on Thursday. And in Samayan say the increment na disregard for the challenge where they faced by Nigerians. And instead of this high price for electric money, the former presidential candidate the yarn say Nigerians deserve stimulus after this lockdown. And yes, so suspended Chemo University of Lagos Governing Council Wale Babalakin and may attend one session with the special visitation panel, and he reached the venue for the panel in Unilag Council chambers around 8:50 a.m. And like that said, all the unions of Unilag, including Academic Staff Union of Universities, the Senior Staff Association of Obodo Nigeria Universities, the National Association of Academic Technologies, and plus the Non-Academic Staff Union, they don't appear before the visitation panel from 2 p.m. The federal government don't direct Obalaki and the Vice Chancellor, Professor Oluwatoyi Ogundipe, say make them free themselves from official duties pending the outcome of the investigate from the special visitation panel. And even the defense headquarters say troops of Operation Accord on Wednesday then killed 4 suspected bandits for encounter for Jakadarabi area of Kaduna State along Kaduna-Abuja Expressway. The coordinator of defense media operator Major General John Enenche in Yan for statement on Thursday inside Abuja. And in still Yan said the troops where they mobilized to the area and lay ambush sake of a credible intelligence for the movement of bandits from Kachia area. And according to him, the troops then make contact with the bandits and then kill 4 of them, while others been escaped with gunshot wounded. And even at least 2 security operatives and 1 civilian, they don't reportedly they killed inside Kagara, Rafi local government area of Niger State, and sake of one badness attack from bandits. The report say many been take off and run, go their house for nearby bush, and sake of a Wednesday attack on top of commercial bank and other places. One eyewitness tell journalists to say the bandits say them been they shoot, say where them been they shoot anyhow, say them come on top like 30 motorbikes and they can't leave many people wounded and then still kidnap some during by their operation. They as well as them being robbed residents of their belongings like mobile phones, money and other valuable items for their house. And even the First Lady Aisha Buhari don't condemn the kidnap of one senior registrar inside the Department of Pediatrics and Child Health for inside the University of Calabar Teaching Hospital, Dr. Vivian Otu on Friday, and a gunman do this badness. For inside statement from the Minister of Women Affairs, Pauline Talen, the First Lady described the act as an abominable one and really threatened to disturb the already fragile health system inside we Obodo. And according to the statement, Obodo Nigeria women, they stand inside solidarity with her family, friends and well-wishers, and they call on the kidnappers say make them release her without any condi. And even have the Maiduguri Zonal Office of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, and they don't say and they don't re-arrest the Chief Executive Officer of a Complete Care and Aid Foundation, Aisha Alkali Wakil, where everybody know as Mama Boko Haram. And Mama Boko Haram, them been said them been done rearrest her on Tuesday before Justice Aisha Kumalia of the Borno State High Court inside Maiduguri to on top of amended for 4-count bordering on top of conspirate where they give lie informate and cheat to the tune of 6 million naira. And for the sitting prosecution counsel, Mukhtar Ali Ahmad informed the court of a pending amended charge and the court to remove the earlier charge where they been filed and during by March 3 and 10th, 2020, and they can substitute them with the one from March 18, 2020. One statement on Wednesday from the head media and publicity of the EFCC, Dele Oyewale, in show said Justice Kumalia been substitute the charge and can order them to read to the defendants. And then still they plead not guilty and sake of with counsel for the second and third defendants, H. Waziri, been prayed the court for adjournment to help them to study the new charges with view to apply for plea bargain agreement with the EFCC. And consequently, Justice Kumalia been postponed the matter to September 16, 2020, and to start the trial. And Mama Boko Haram been originally arrested alongside the program manager of her foundation, Tahiru Daura, and the country director, Lawal Shoyode, on top of December 4, 2019. Their trial now sake of their no guilty plea to the charges. And even said Oba of Benin or Baiware too don't ask leaders of the People's Democratic Party (PDP) and the All Progressive Congress (APC) and say make them copy ex-President Goodluck Jonathan style we been congratulate President Muhammadu Buhari after in lose the 2015 election. And the monarch can give the charge on Wednesday during by one meeting when he been get with the leading candidates before the September 19 governorship election for the state.
In less than 3 weeks from now, the people of Edo State will be going to poll to elect their governor for the next 4 years. One disturbing trend is the high scale of violence that has characterized the build-up to the election. Speaking during the meeting, the revered traditional ruler expressed his displeasure over the attitude of some politicians, saying he is unhappy that the state has been in the news for the wrong reasons and that the election should not be a do-or-die affair.
I will hold him responsible too. If he doesn't use his statesmanship status, elder statesmanship status to bring peace and eradicate, stop this violence, stop shooting. You can campaign quietly. Please. You can see how much energy we have used to appeal. And it's worth it. Because we want to surprise everybody else that is thinking that those states is going to burn down. Why should those states burn down? Those states should be quiet.
PDP candidate and incumbent governor Godwin Obaseki, APC flag bearer Osage Ize-Iyamu, ex-APC national chairman, and former governor of the state, Adams Oshomole, Chief John Odigi Oyegu, among others, were in attendance.
Sworn to an oath to preserve the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I have sworn to protect the lives and property of the people I govern. I want to assure our Father and all those present that we on our part pledge to ensure from our supporters, our followers, that they conduct themselves peacefully throughout the campaign and during the election.
My record speaks for me. I didn't need any human being to win the election twice. So I'm a CBC person. If I didn't promote violence for myself, I cannot possibly promote violence for another person.
An ADC gubernatorial candidate and some other Edo indigents lauded the initiative of the Oba.
Election is not a do or die affair. The way it is supposed to be done, as I keep saying all the time, the minute you decide to be a politician, you are the servant of the people. And ADC recognizes that. I do recognize that.
Royal Majesty have done well enough to advise all the candidates in this election. And I can tell you that today, that history has been made in those states, and that history will continue.
The purpose of being here today is to actually seek for peace from the Oba. And the Oba has assured us and prayed for us and make sure that this election coming September 19 is going to be peaceful.
As governorship election in Edo State is forthcoming, analysts say the electorate must be allowed to cast their votes peacefully and not under threat of violence. Hence, the fate of any of these political parties winning is dependent on the choice of Edo indigents.
And yes, so they don't tell people where they stay for Osun State and say make them stop to the throw away their dustbin anyhow, and say make them they use and register them dustbin collectors to take throw away their dustbin so that they know where they throw away them anyhow inside all the river for Osun State. The state governor Oyetola Oyetola been give the charge during by one inspection for the ongoing dredging activities for different waterways inside the state. Oyetola Yan say the state could continue to be proactive for the effort to take and mitigate the flooding inside all the areas of the state. Special advisor to the governor on top public health, CG Olamiju, in yan this one and say the dredging na key to prevent spillage of disease and they cause waste and harmful pollution we could fit cause threats to public health.
We've done that to ensure that we do not experience flooding. Ordinarily, on a routine basis, we look at our streams and do proper dredging in anticipation of heavy downpour. What I've seen here gives me the comfort that we should not be thinking of any flooding around this axis. This is not limited, what we're doing is not limited to this place. We're doing the dredging of all the streams, major streams, where they call flashpoints.
What we are doing is just to clear the way, dredging the place for a free flow. All the waterways and inlets, they collect here and drain into that place.
We want to appeal to our people at home to desist from act of indiscriminate dumping of refuse into waterways, into rivers and canals, because what do we have? Blockages of these waterways, channels, drainages, including the access covert. When this happens, there will be serious flood.
If there is flooding, there is likelihood of having spillage of disease-causing waste all around, which can culminate into public health challenge. It is part of his proactiveness to making sure that lives and properties are secured, and more importantly, as far as public health is concerned, it is also helping improving our public health indices in the state.
And yes, so Nigerian youths don't they tax to contribute their own side to make a national development and to still support federal government for the way they take one transform the nation. And this one during by the launch of one book inside Abuja where they call Nigerian Youth and the Next Level. The book where they highlight steps for youth nationwide and to key into the federal government develop plan, then still the young youths to make them irrespective of ethnicity and religion, to make them be ambassadors of Nigeria, especially to use social media as an Ogbonge tool.
The most safest place in the country. So we should change that narrative. We should stop sending wrong impression to other citizens, other countries, that Nigeria are not safe, Nigeria are not competent, Nigeria does not have access to resources and all of that. We should begin to build Nigeria for our dream. We should begin to build our mindset towards the change, towards the next level agenda of President Muhammadu Buhari.
And yes, so the National Agency for Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, NAPTIP, they don't sign one memorandum of understanding with International Human Rights Commission, IHRC, to take a help the fight against human trafficking. The Director General of NAPTIP and Julie Okadonli, during by the signing ceremony for NAPTIP headquarters inside Abuja, and Yan say the MOU could help protect victims of human trafficking and it could still galvanize international support. Okadonli say need day for global partnership, especially for the area of information sharing to take stop traffickers and help them for to take punish the people who do the badness.
We are here for a fulfillment of the promise of the DG to partner with us to be able to achieve a targeted goal of stopping another second slavery in Nigeria. This is why we are here to put an MOU to law today to be able to fully collaborate to bring about success in the fight against this deadly, manipulated attempt by enemies of the state to bring Nigeria back to slavery.
Over the years, we've partnered with so many countries, but the truth is that a lot of countries are still in denial. They refuse to believe that the crime of human trafficking is a global phenomenon. They seem to think it is a Nigerian problem. It is not a Nigerian problem. It is a global problem. And if we continue to be in denial, we are not going to get anywhere. So we need to work closely with all the countries. Of course, through your organization, work closely with other countries so that they begin to understand the importance of sharing information with us in Nigeria. Having joint investigations, having joint operations, prosecuting cartels, breaking the major cartels at the destination countries and the countries of origin, which is Nigeria.
And even of the World Health Organization say 76 rich nations and they committed to join global COVID-19 vaccine allocate plan and where they collect by the WHO and where their aim are to help buy and fairly distribute the shots. And even of the United States, them still yarn say they will join the effort to where them call the COVAX sake of President Donald Trump administrative objection to WHO involvement. COVAX they aim to procure and deliver 2 billion doses of approved vaccines from the end of 2021. And they currently get 9 COVID-19 vaccine candidates for their portfolio and where they employ a range of different technologies and scientific approach. One handful already there inside late stage clinical trials and then fit get data available for the end of the year. And yes, so in Russia, they don't resume international flights with Egypt and United Arab Emirates and the Maldives. The government, Yan, say, and they don't authorize 3 flights a week to Cairo, plus 2 flights a week to Dubai and the Maldives and Velana International Airport. Russia then stopped all regular and charter international flights with other countries for the end of March for the wake of coronavirus outbreak worldwide, where allow only repatriate trips. The decide been they reviewed inside August and the country been resumed flight to Great Britain, Tanzania, Turkey, plus Switzerland inside accordance with a number of criteria where they determined by the Russian Anti-Coronavirus Crisis Center. And even South Africa, Tory Egypt don't sign a $2 billion conventional and Islamic loan with plenty international and regional bank and where the deal coordinated by 2 UAE lenders, Emirates, NBD Capital and First Abu Dhabi Bank being the joint coordinators and the lead managers of the deal. The loan, they finance the state budget and they still support the Egyptian economy so that they can maintain the strong path for the face of fluctuations where they prevail inside the global market. And one parliamentary document where they obtain, where they show Egypt initialize the deal with Emirates NBD and FAD inside July 20 to obtain a 1-year $2 billion loan inside the 2 tranche to close the gap and for the 2020-2021 budget and where they wrought by COVID-19 pandemic. And inside the Bodo Tori, U.S. President Donald Trump don't suggest say voters for the state of North Carolina then supposed vote 2 times for the November election, once by vote and once by mail, and to make sure say their votes they counted. And voting more than once for election, they very, very illegit. Activists now raise this concern on top of Trump remark, say waiting in they suggest say they no agree with the law, and in the end the public say they no listen to in suggestion. And U.S. Attorney General William President Bahasama say their mail for ballot for the November 3 election say it go feel they vulnerable to wuru and where they echo argument, and Trump don't make it to denounce the use of voting by mail. And still on top of Bodo Tori, Malaysia, they don't add at least 9 more countries, including United States, Britain, and France, to the list of long-term immigration pass holders to make them bar them from the country. Malaysia government Yan say then go from September 7 stop entry of pass holders from India, Indonesia, and the Philippines inside the bid to take stop import coronavirus cases inside Southeast Asia, third largest economy. The ban will now include all countries where don't report more than 150,000 coronavirus cases, and Malaysia where don't report just 9,374 COVID-19 cases and 128 deaths. As of Thursday, they don't still ban tourists and business travelers from entering the country since March. And yes, so Japan Defense Minister Taro Kono on Thursday, September 3, in say in support of Chief Cabinet Secretary and Yoshihide Suga as the country next leader to provide continuity to tackle the coronavirus crisis. But in still predict say in go one day be Prime Minister. And as they identify early from local media as potential candidates, the Defense Minister been done consider to enter the leadership race to replace retiring Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. But in decide against them after Suga being announcing decision to run. And Suga on Wednesday announced say in go run for the ruling Liberal Democratic Party LDP election to pick new leader, and in promise to stick to Abe policies, and with backing of a plenty party factions, including the one where Kono say na be member of Abe long-time ally don boss out as the front runner for the race. Abe announced on Friday say in the resign in sake of poor health and in the end in tenure as Japan's longest serving prime minister. And yes, on top business story, one fire been break out for fully loaded supertanker from the east coast of Sri Lanka, and they don't still bring them under control. And plus say one of the 23 crew member been they injured. The New Diamond will be very big crude carrier and where they chartered by Indian Oil Corp been they carry the equivalent of about 2 million barrels of oil. Refinitiv data now show this one. And then still they go Indian port of Paradip, and where the states they run firm where they operate 300,000 barrels per day refinery. And one Sri Lanka Navy official, Ayan, said no damage to the cargo area, only the engine room and some areas around them. And say 23 crew member on board, say not only one injured, and say they don't bring them to land for the Navy vessel. And even seven Britain, then Yan said that they invest to develop a rapid COVID-19 test with view to soon roll out widespread systematic testing to pick up outbreak early inside the criticism for backlog and for the current testing system. The Health Ministry, then Yan said they go put £500 million inside the trial of rapid COVID-19 tests and into the population testing for the disease. And Health Minister Matt Hancock, Yan say in hope say mass testing and go use faster COVID-19 tests and then go roll out towards the end of the year, and plus say then be key to take restore freedom after months of COVID-19 restrict. And yes, so we'll go some a quick break, and when we return, we'll give another rest of the story. We're going to return just now. And yes, on top sports waka, 5th seed Alexander and Verez don't waka go for set from American teenager Brandon Nakashima, and before insecure hard-fought U.S. Open second round win. The German, one of those who then tipped to challenge for the title inside New York with Rafael Nadal and Roger Federer. No, they play win 7-5, 6-7, 8-10, 6-3, and 6-1. But Verez been downplayed the absence of the two greats as if they find in first Grand Slam title. Verez win served no break for the match, being hit to 24 ace past the 19-year-old Nakashima, and he will face French 32nd seed Adrian Manarino next. Belgian 7th seed David Goffin still reached the 3rd round and he beat South African Lloyd Harris 7-6, 8-6, 4-6, 6-1, and 6-4, and he will play Seb 26th seed and Felipe Krajinovic. And 4th seed Stefanos and Tsitsipas, and for Greece could face Croatia Bonar Koric for the next round after him being win American Maxim Cressy 7-6, 7-2, 6-3, and 6-4. And then now I'll go get to read for this time and make a leave on how to breathe fresh air because they bring more back on to read take come on at the month. For more news, information, make on join us for Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And plus, you can make up one get sense if you subscribe to our YouTube channel at Plus TV Africa. And always put your DSTV for channel 408 for more Ogbonge Tori, and don't forget to stay very, very safe. My name is Destiny Momo.
According to a recent report released by the United Nations, Nigeria has a growing population of 200 million people. 70% of that population are young people, and 36% out of that population still are unemployed youth. So what that means is that Nigeria's government cannot single-handedly provide for every youth in this nation. The earlier young people began to look for ingenious ways of providing for themselves, maybe the better. And so on this episode of Stories from the Slum, we feature a young man, 18-year-old Vincent Chiemela Obi, who built electrical cars from metals, wires, and cartons he picks around from his vicinity. How did all of this car building, electrical car building start? How did it start?
It started from my childhood, when I was still in primary school. So I was dreaming high and I was achieving high. So I told myself that I'm going to go to technical school because I'm technically inclined. Somehow all these bulbs in our house, they may get spoiled. I will fix them by my own self. So I told my parents that I'm going to go to a technical school. So where I can learn my handwork and be perfected in it. So they did so. But when I got to the school, they didn't talk me on aspects.
Which school is that?
Government Technical College, Onitsha. Okay. So they didn't talk me on technical aspects. It was on electrical aspect they was teaching me, but main thing I want to know is how to fix one or two things in a car, how the engine works, how the steer and everything. But they weren't teaching me all these things. So I said to myself that I know what I came to achieve. So I said that if they don't want to teach me, let me teach myself. So I depended on myself. So I started on how to use carton and just do a small car. I'll just do it and just put it little engine. So I'll just put it wire and battery. I'll be folding it in the back. I'll just connect it with battery because it has wire on the bottom. So I'll be folding it in the back. Or the car don't reverse. So I went on a research in the internet. I didn't see what I was trying, so I said, let me help myself. So I brought some olden days radios that is in our house. So I brought out some particles from it. So I went to a dictionary and I looked for the whole particles and I know all their works, both the transistor, the resistor, the wire, the battery. And I figured out what they function in a circuit board. So I just brought all this game all these television games that children used to play.
Yes.
So I brought the game and I converted the pad because this is a pad game. You no more play games, it's control the car. So I use radio transmission. So and the transmission moves through radio wave. So I will transmit information through this wire. It will receive through the antenna that is standing in the front of the bonnet. So that's why it goes around everywhere. So because of this, it can go as far as 50 meters away.
Okay.
And reverse back. So I'll just be here, be controlling it. It will just be going far, reverse, and the steering will be turning. It will just be like an exact car. So that's how I started. So I just tried, but it cost a lot of money. I was busy borrowing my mom money because I didn't have anything doing then. I was still a student. My mom depended on me and he was giving me any amount I asked her because she knows that on a very good day things will get better. So I just started from the tires. I just designed all these tires because they are rubber. It's made of rubber.
Oh, okay.
Rubber. Yeah.
So it was customized for you?
Yeah, customized. A lot of money. So this is the steering. It gives the car directions through the remote. So this is the left, this is the right. So it gives the car direction on where to move. So this is the throttle. Because the car is four-wheel drive. The 4 tires is working. That's it. So here is the transmission. Because why I passed from here to the direct engine at the back, just designed all of them and I took it to a plastic company. And I told them that the rim will be plastic, then the tire will be rubber. So they molded 4 of them, I paid them. So I bought
How much did you have to pay?
7,000 for the 4 of them. So I bought an OD days radio. So I told myself that this radio is spoiled, but I can pick some good things in it. So I picked up some particles of the radio contents, like resistor, capacitor, and all the wires, both the transformers. So I just write all the name in a paper. So I went into the dictionary to find out their functions and how they work. So once I found out how they work and how their functions, so I just put all of them together. So I just brought a pad that children used to play games, television games. So I converted the pad. It's no more play games. It controls the vehicle. So that's how I come to the wireless aspect. So I just bought batteries and put it and worked on it, and I do the electrical wiring, both sides, everywhere. I was the one who wired and painted all of them from A to Z. So when I finished my first wireless work, so I clapped to myself.
Yeah, even me. I must clap for you too because you're doing a great job. So I clap for you too. Congrats.
Right, so I said to myself that it's not easy. So I've tried, they failed, but I've tried my own. I know how many times I tried, but I failed. But I keep on trying. I didn't give up. So I got to this level. My first wireless car, it cost me so much money. So I just consulted it. Then I took it to my school to show my principal my handwork. So when I took it there, my principal sees the first car that I consulted. She said that she will keep it in her office in memory of me. So anytime that she sees it, she will know that she have a good student like me. I appreciated it. So another one, I consulted a helicopter that flies. You know, she can fly like 300 kilometers above the ground. So I took it to the school and I showed them how everything worked, both remote, everything. So my school did the same thing and they took it and they gave it back. My principal said the helicopter will be in the school also. So anytime they see it, they will know that they have a good student like me. I appreciated it because till today, all these things are at the school. I've left the school, but my memory is still there.
So how do you know what wires would do what? You know, like how do you know that this, if you put this yellow wire here and this blue one is going to result to something? How do you know that?
I just learn all this thing off head because once you look at it, you just know the functions.
Once you look at each wire, you know the functions.
Because this red and black wire, the red one is positive, the black one is negative. So positive, we go to positive, negative, we go to negative for correct current to flow. But if you put it wrongly, that is positive or negative, it will spark and it will burn every electron that is in the car. So that's why anytime I connect all these electrical aspects, I'm very careful because any mistake can spoil the whole connection in the vehicle.
Okay, so tell us the parts.
This is the antenna. You use this to move far away and then reverse back because the antenna is connecting the signal. Yeah. So this is the condenser. This is the capacitor. This is the resistor. This is the battery. The battery, the work is that it powers the whole engine and the whole electron to be working. So the battery supplies the car with energy, which is used to move around. This is the batteries. It's the laptop batteries. So this is the sensor. This is the switch for on and offing it. You can off it to the switch, and you can on it to the switch. So these are the wires that pass electricity around the whole vehicles. These are the shock absorbers.
Oh, yeah. How did you create that one?
It's the same plastic company that helped me because it's plastic. Yeah.
Have you gone to Innocent? Have you ever considered going to Innocent Motors?
I'm not going to. The main thing is that I've not seen any person who can link me because I cannot go there to see them.
Why not?
I know that all these big men, they won't allow you to just see them just like that without giving you an appointment.
But I think you should let go of your fears and attempt to, just like the way I saw you in the airport.
I've been to government house before, but the security guy, they said that I should not come inside. That the government did not give me an appointment. So I was begging them at Anambra State government house. So they said that they are not going to allow me inside. So I just said, let me just come to Lagos State so that any person that knows the value of my handwork will just help me. So that's why I came to the airport, because I know that some people that have been outside the country have, they will know the value of it. So that's why I came to the airport and I met you. So I've not been to all these groceries, company, because I know they have so much gas, and before you see them,
No, I would say try it. There's no error in trying.
Okay.
So can you drive?
Yeah, I cannot drive, but if you give me a car key, I can drive a car. Yeah, because some people don't learn how to drive, but I can drive due to the experience that I've had for some years. So
have you driven a car before?
Yeah, but once I've just driven a car once, but I didn't come out on the main road or express to drive. I just drive around the street. But it's an automatic car, Sienna. I just drive. I was even surprised the day I drive it. I didn't know that I can make it. But due to I've had some experience of this electric car, so that's the experience I used to drive the big one.
Where do you hope to see yourself in the next, say, 10 years?
I'd like to see myself in the next 4 or 5 years in my own company, where I can employ workers that work for me, in my own automobile company, where I can assemble or construct brand new car with my own car, with my own name branded on it, like Innocent, Toyota, Mercedes. So I have my own name in my own car, in my own production.
So you have like Chukwuemeka Vincent Obi.
Or Vincent Obi. So it's my name, it's my own company. So whatever I like, I'm going to give it name. Yeah.
All right, congratulations in advance. So with people like the young 18-year-old Vincent Chukwuemeka Obi, Nigeria can be sure of having its own electrical cars built by Nigerians, for Nigerians, and of course, for the world at large. For Plus TV Africa, I'm Amaka Okoye with stories from this world.
Welcome to Ladies Talking Business on Plus TV Africa. I am your host, Anita Felix, and with me is my co-host, Moremi Akano.
On today's episode, we will be talking about Forex trading.
We have nations of the world, they trade Forex. We have CBNs of nations, they trade Forex. The super rich and their children.
How much can I start with?
When it comes to Forex, you can start wherever you are, whatever your capacity is. Some brokers will even take as little as $5 from you. You can take that to the bank. It teaches you the act of money multiplication. The more money you use to trade, the more money you make. Then the second thing again is your risk management parameters. We call it lot sizes. I don't really like talking about making a lot of money in Forex, especially when I'm talking to somebody that hasn't done this before. A lot of people have a misconception when it comes to Forex. They see it as something that they enter today and tomorrow they begin to make $1,000. It does not work that way.
It is engagement we need to have.
Those who suffer miscarriages are never taken into account.
Members of the National Assembly are also influence peddlers.
You are sitting on Nigerians' money.
From the Babin, I pay my rent. From the Babin, I send my children to school.
A consultative engagement.
No any tangible notification before they ban us.
It's one thing for people to be at your back and the heat of the moment, and another thing for them to still be with you when push comes to shove.
I will do everything to take Lagos out of the national grid.
COVID-19 outbreak across Nigeria. He now has to learn from home.
When I heard about the lockdown, I wasn't really that kind of I miss school fan. But now, I've never been indoors this much, so I really miss school.
He is a primary school pupil and his brothers secondary school students. Together, they admit that learning from home has its own challenges.
I was preparing to write the junior exam and the pandemic now hit and we have to come back home. And now that the classes are online, it's harder to ask the questions